Wu Yun in the sky was so angry. At this time that stupid girl actually played the kissing game. Shameless. Strike her. Kill her. A series of heavenly lightnings struck Yun Chujio's body, but Yun Chujio did not seem to hear it. She was still lingering with Di Biming's lips and teeth. The seal in Di Biming's body instantly exploded. His limbs and bones were filled with pain, and almost instantly his entire body was covered with a layer of solid ice. Yun Chujio could not help but smile bitterly. The god really could not bear to see them. Pan de N0, V1 It was impossible to kiss them before death, but this was good too. At least the pretty boy's life could be saved. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio moved to the side with difficulty. She wanted to attract the heavenly lightning to the other side so that it would not strike Di Biming. However, this guy suddenly realized that the solid ice on Di Biming's body was like armor. It actually protected Di Biming from the heavenly lightning by accident. Hey Shinjio, this guy was stunned for a moment, and then he shamelessly lay down on a certain venerate. He mumbled, Prince Charming, I didn't expect your cold poison to have such a use. Don't reseal it now. Help me carry the lightning and bear the pain. It's not a big deal. A certain venerate, what happened to love being stronger than gold? Didn't he say that they would live and die together? Was it really good for him to do that? The heavenly lightning struck Di Biming's body continuously. To be exact, it struck the hard ice continuously. The hard ice melted continuously and new hard ice was formed. The evaporated water vapor turned into mist. The deep pit where the two of them were in now looked like a fairyland. Hei Shinjio took a moment to recover. The wounds on her body healed quickly. She was in a good mood now. Prince Charming, I finally understand now. In this world there are no absolute good or bad things. Just like your cold poison, it's usually so annoying. At the critical moment it can actually save our lives. How amazing is that? Di Biming endured the bone-piercing pain and lightly agreed. No matter what, as long as he could save little Jio's life, he was willing to endure even if the pain was 10,000 times more painful. Hei Shinjio was afraid that a certain honored guest would be unable to bear the pain and faint, so she kept blabbering on and on, trying to find something to say. In the beginning, Di Biming briefly agreed, but as the cold poison took effect he finally fainted. Yun Chujio's heart ached, and her heart was filled with hatred towards Tian Dao and Wu Yun. She did not know how long the ice on Di Biming's body could last. She hoped that she could turn black. If that was the case, she might be able to withstand the heavenly lightning and not need the gigolo to protect her. However, no matter how angry she was, there was still no change. This guy was so angry. De Hua could turn black just by saying 10,000-year-old single dog. Why was it so difficult for her to turn black? This guy thought of the great void mirror that had been sleeping for a long time. Damn that little Jingjing. If it did not sleep, it could have taken her into the great void mystic realm. How could there be such a thing? She thought of the cloud fishing hook that had died prematurely and was even more furious. If it could be as useful as the fishing rod, she could have sat on the little Wu Yun to fish for the clouds. Thinking of the cloud fishing hook, this fellow took out the cloud fishing hook desperately. However, when he saw the cloud fishing hook, this fellow was dumbfounded. Was this the cloud fishing hook that she had personally made? The body of the rod was pitch black and transparent. At the top of the rod was a hook that emitted a cold light. The black iron chain had actually become a fishing rod. Hei Shinjio held the freshly made cloud fishing rod in her hand and realized that it had become very light. What was going on? However, no matter what, with the cloud fishing rod she had a weapon for revenge. Hei Shinjio summoned little Wu Yun out. After a short rest, little Wu Yun had already recovered a little. Little Wu Yun, whether we can live or not depends on this. In a while, try your best to get close to one of the dark clouds. Master, I will chop off a few to accompany you. Little Wu Yun also knew that if Hei Shinjio died, it would not be able to live either. Therefore it trembled, indicating that it understood. Hei Shinjio looked at the cloud fishing rod in her hand again. Everything was fine except that it was a little short. It seemed that she had to get close to the dark clouds to have a chance of winning. This fellow looked at Di Biming, who had passed out. Then he sat on the little Wu Yun and rushed towards a dark cloud in the sky. Coincidentally, the one closest to her was Wu Yun #1. It saw Hei Shinjio holding a black hook in her hand and riding on the little Wu Yun as she rushed up. It was immediately frightened. This damn little girl wanted to steal its cloud wings again? Wu Yun quickly asked the other 7 rainbow clouds to help it hack at the small black cloud, in case Yun Chujio got her way. The 7 rainbow clouds did not think much of the cloud fishing rod in Hei Xinjia's hand. As long as they were struck by lightning, the hook would turn into ashes, let alone steal the cloud wings. However, their crackling attacks did not cause any damage to the cloud fishing rod. Instead, they were getting closer and closer to Wu Yun No. 1. Wu Yun No. 1 roared in exasperation, "Are you stupid? If you can't hack the hook, can't you hack the little Wu Yun who is a traitor?" The 7 rainbow clouds thought that Wu Yun was right. As long as the little Wu Yun was broken, the little girl would not be able to fish the cloud. Therefore they hacked at the little Wu Yun. The little Wu Yun had not recovered from the shock. After being hacked, she could not help but start to fall. Hei Xinjiu clenched her teeth in anxiety. She was so close to catching Wu Yun No. 1. Was all her previous efforts going to waste? In his anxiety, he mumbled, "It would be great if the cloud fishing rod was longer. Even if it were 10 feet longer, I would be able to catch that damn Wu Yun." As soon as he finished his sentence, the cloud fishing rod suddenly grew a lot longer and hooked Wu Yun No. 1 firmly. Wu Yun No. 1 was dumbfounded. What the hell was this thing? Not only was it not afraid of being struck by lightning, but it could also grow longer. This really took its old life. If it wanted to escape, it could only give up on the cloud wing that was hooked onto it. However, once it gave up on the cloud wing, it would definitely be kidnapped by that stinky girl. Then would it still want to live? Just as Wu Yun No. 1 was hesitating, he saw Hei Xinjiu already climbing up along the cloud fishing rod. Her eyes were filled with sinister intent. It was obvious that she was going to personally chop down the cloud. Wu Yun No. 1 was so scared that he shivered. He quickly called the other 7 rainbow clouds to chop Hei Xinjiu with all their might. Unfortunately, the resentment in Hei Xinjia's heart was too strong. Even though blood was oozing out from her body, she continued climbing up. Finally, she reached Wu Yun No. 1. The guy took out his big kitchen knife and hacked at her fiercely while slashing. He mumbled, "Damn it. This slash is for the pretty boy, this slash is for Xiao Hanio. This slash is for Xiao Mogu. This slash is for Xiao Wu Yun." As Hei Xinjiu hacked, she stuffed Wu Yun into her storage ring. The blood on her body dripped onto Wu Yun continuously. Then Wu Yun No. 1 was stunned to discover that the cloud wing that was hooked on the hook had actually taken the initiative to break away from its control. In other words, it had mutinied. Just as Hei Xinjiu was happily hacking away, the cloud wing broke away from Wu Yun No. 1 and carried Hei Xinjiu as it floated towards little Wu Yun. The 2 cloud wings quickly fused together. Yun Chujia's spiritual sense transmitted Wu Yun's happy mood as if, she had eaten her fill. Hei Xinjiu did not have time to think about it. She directed Wu Yun to approach Wu Yun No. 1 once again, preparing to catch a few more little Wu Yun. Wu Yun No. 1 was scared silly. Oh God! Why did its cloud wings suddenly betray her? If that wretched girl were to come any closer, wouldn't it lose its cloud wings? The other 7 rainbow clouds were also shocked. They had watched the entire process from the sidelines. This little girl had actually taken a cloud wing so easily? She had only slashed a few times. Why did the entire cloud wing betray her? Wu Yun No. 1 couldn't care less about whether it was slashed or not. It had a premonition that if that little devil caught up to it, it wouldn't be able to keep a single cloud wing. Thus Wu Yun No. 1 flew away with a swoosh. Hei Xinjiu frowned and looked at the 7 rainbow clouds. "Little red chi, little orange ching. Come, we have to give each other a gift on our first meeting. You guys can give me a little Wu Yun from Yi Yun." The 7 rainbow clouds twitched in anger. A gift for their first meeting? Give you a little Wu Yun? Dream on. However, when they thought of what they had seen just now, they did not dare to deal with Hei Xinjiu any longer. They all fled with a swoosh. Hei Xinjiu chased them for a while but failed to catch up. She was so angry that she cursed with her hands on her hips. "If you have the ability, don't ever attack me. Otherwise, I'll make you run for your lives." The 8 Wu Yun could not wait to hug each other and cry. After chopping down so many people for so many years, this was the first time that they had not only failed to chop someone to death, but they had also been abducted by Yun Yi. They simply could not live anymore. The 7 rainbow clouds silently decided in their hearts that they would not come and chop this little devil down even if they were to talk about flowers in the future. Otherwise, if Yun Yi was abducted by her, they would really run for their lives. After Hei Xinjiu warned the 8 Wu Yun, she flew back to the deep pit. Di Baiming had already woken up and was sitting cross-legged in meditation. "Prince Charming, I scared Wu Yun away. You can seal the 7 emotions and 6 desires now. Hei Shinjio said as she stared at a certain god's beautiful face with regret. Once the seal was resealed, she could neither kiss nor touch him. What a pity. Since Beiming needed some time to reseal it, this guy simply took the cloud fishing hook and began to think. How did it suddenly become like this? This guy thought about it carefully. Previously, the cloud fishing hook had cut her hand. Then, in order to vent her anger, she used a small flame to burn the cloud fishing hook for a long time. Was this equivalent to refining a weapon? However, she did not beat it. How did it become the cloud fishing rod that she wanted? This fellow thought about it for a long time but still could not figure it out, so she decided not to think about it. Anyway, as long as the result was good, it would be fine. The next time the damn Wu Yun attacked her again, she would fish a few more small Wu Yun for fun. Thinking of the small Wu Yun, Hei Shinjio looked at the small Wu Yun that had grown a size. Other than growing bigger, little Wu Yun did not change much. However, Hei Shinjio felt that since she had grown bigger, she could absorb the power of lightning faster. She was getting closer to the day when she could be self-sufficient in lightning. Hei Shinjio thought about the bright future and smiled like a flower. If her little Wu Yun was as awesome as the big Wu Yun in the sky, she could cultivate it any time. Moreover, who would dare to provoke her? Kill him. As for the little Wu Yun leaving the big Wu Yun after a few cuts, this fellow did not take it to heart. It was probably the big Wu Yun who abandoned the pawn to protect the cart. Just as this guy's thoughts were running wild, a certain someone opened his eyes. However, the eyes that were originally warm were now filled with coldness. It seemed to be even colder than the previous few times. Hei Shinjio was not surprised by this. After all, even if it was a 10,000-year-old ice, she could melt it with a few touches. Prince Charming, since you have sealed it, let's go back to the camp. Hei Shinjio said with a smile. Without even looking at her, a certain someone flew out of the deep pit and jumped towards the camp without even looking back. Hei Shinjio, fuck, he just kissed her and now he didn't want to admit his mistake? He was just trying his best to protect me. How did he turn into an ingrate in such a short time? However, Hei Shinjio also knew that this was the result of the seal. It was useless even if she banged her head against the wall in anger. Therefore, this guy summoned little Wu Yun and sat on the little Wu Yun, chasing after Beiming happily. Little Wu Yun's speed was very fast. A moment later, he caught up with a certain god. Hei Shinjio giggled at a certain god. Prince Charming, how is it? No matter how fast you run, you're still faster than my little Wu Yun. Come up and sit for a while. Experience the feeling of riding on the clouds and mist. A certain god finally raised his head and looked at Hei Shinjio. He opened his thin lips and said indifferently, no need. Hei Shinjio curled her lips. She could not stand his cold and arrogant manner, therefore she blinked and said, Prince Charming, your lips were swollen by my bite just now. Aren't you going to deal with it? If we return to the camp, I'm afraid that people will gossip about us. A certain someone stumbled and his hand could not help but touch his lips, but he did not notice anything strange. Just as he was puzzled, he heard Hei Xinjia's clear laughter. I'm lying to you, my little fool. Before a certain someone could say anything, he saw Hei Shinjio fly away on the little Wu Yun, leaving behind a string of silver bell-like laughter. A certain someone felt inexplicably irritated and his face turned even colder. He leaped forward like a ghost. While Hei Shinjio was sitting on the little Wu Yun, her scalp went numb. Then she saw a flying sword beside her. Standing on it was a certain lord with a cold face. Hei Shinjio laughed dryly and waved her claws. Prince Charming, do you want to sit on my little Wu Yun? The certain lord did not say a word. The cold air on his body made the little Wu Yun tremble a few times and almost threw Hei Shinjio down. Hei Shinjio quickly smoothed her hair. With a flattering face she said, Prince Charming, what should I do? I find that I love you more and more. I can't help but love you, especially now that you are as cold as ice. You are always pulling my heartstrings. Nonsense. After saying that, a certain lord quickly rode his sword and left. However, no matter how one looked at it, it seemed that he was running away. Hei Shinjio whistled complacently. Little fellow, no matter what you become, you will never be able to escape from me. Hei Shinjio flew to the camp on Wu Yun. All the subjects of the East Phoenix Kingdom kneeled on the ground and cheered like a tsunami. Female Emperor of Zephyr's beauty is unparalleled in the world. Female Emperor of Zephyr's beauty is like a sinking fish, falling geese, closing the moon and embarrassing the flowers. Female Emperor of Zephyr's beauty is invincible. Hei Shinjio looked at the crowd with satisfaction. This feeling of acting cool was really satisfying. This fellow pretended to be calm and waved his hand. All of you get up. I still have guests here. Only then did Prime Minister Sima and the others stand up one after another. Hei Shinjio directed little Wu Yun to land on the ground and then looked at Emperor Jinglai and the others. Emperor Jinglai and the others were so frightened by the cheers of the subjects of the East Phoenix Kingdom that their legs went soft. They were still somewhat envious and jealous. Why had their subjects never been so enthusiastic before? Of course, what made their hearts tremble even more was what had happened earlier. The lightning had struck for a whole day and night, and in the end, they were scared away by this little girl. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that there was someone in the world who could scare Wu Yun away. Moreover, this little girl had actually come back on a dark cloud. It was simply too frightening. Emperor Jinglai and the others had been hesitating before whether to join the Lihan Palace or form an alliance with the East Phoenix Kingdom. Now they had suddenly decided to form an alliance with the East Phoenix Kingdom. After all, no matter how terrifying the Lihan Palace was, how could it be as terrifying as Wu Yun? This little girl could even scare off Wu Yun, so why would she be afraid of a mere Lihan Palace? Immediately, Emperor Jinglai and the others expressed their intention to form an alliance with Hei Shinjio. Hei Shinjio didn't take advantage of the situation and smilingly signed an alliance agreement with Emperor Jinglai and the others. Your Majesties, the most important thing now isn't to gather an army to destroy the Lihan Palace. We need to do two things first, Empress Jiao said with a smile. Emperor Jinglai and the others were puzzled. What was more important than destroying the Lihan Palace? The corners of Empress Jiao's mouth curled up. The first thing is to create public opinion. The Lihan Palace relies on the national advisors of the various countries to control the direction of public opinion. If you don't create public opinion that is in your favor once the war starts, I'm afraid that there will be chaos in the country. As for how to create public opinion, it's very simple. You can say whatever you want to discuss the Lihan Palace. After all, you have those children in your hands, so you aren't afraid of being questioned. As for the second matter, once the public opinion is more or less guided, you can start to make an example out of the imperial advisors of the various countries. Those who are obedient can be kept, and those who are not can be killed directly. Jinglai Di and the others were stunned when they heard this. To be fair, they had long disliked those imperial advisors. Sometimes, those imperial advisors had even higher prestige than the country emperors like them. They were simply depressed to the extreme. Your Majesty Fenghua, you said that the first matter is easy to handle, but the second matter is a little difficult to handle. Those imperial advisors have a secret method to communicate with the sacred beasts of the various countries. If they are provoked, will there be any trouble? Emperor Jinglai said somewhat apprehensively. Yun Chujio laughed lightly. Perhaps some people can really master some so-called secret methods, but don't worry. Even if they do, they don't have any great abilities. To put it simply, if they really had such great abilities, would the Lihan Palace still need to let you sit on the throne? Those so-called holy beasts are either fictional or just remnant souls that have been locked up. They won't be able to stir up any trouble. Just do it. If you can't handle it, send a message to me. I'll handle it for you. If Hei Shinjio had said this before, Emperor Jinglai and the others would have scoffed at her. However, now that they had witnessed how abnormal this fellow was, they immediately nodded their heads. After discussing the details, everyone left with their own troops. Yun Chujio also heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. However, she didn't order the troops stationed at the border to retreat. It was better to be on guard. Yun Chujio took Prime Minister Sima and the others and set off for the capital. On the flying spirit tool, she gathered Prime Minister Sima and the others to discuss the matter of spreading public opinion. She was busy all the way until evening before returning to her cabin. Yun Chujio ate something carelessly. Recalling what had happened in the past 2 days, she could not help but sigh heavily. This fellow had always been cheerful and optimistic. However, yesterday, Di Baiming had almost lost his life in order to save her. This fellow's heart was really very uncomfortable. However, her unlucky physique could only be upgraded by being struck by lightning. Even if she did not eat or drink, it was useless to cultivate. Therefore, she could only follow a curve to save the country. There were 2 steps. First, she had to rapidly expand her power. It was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. As long as she had her own influence and controlled the southern continent, that Lan Luochen would not be able to do anything to her. Second, when Wu Yun came to attack her, she had to try to catch a few more small dark clouds. This way it would be much more convenient for her to cultivate. Hei Xinjiu held her chin and thought for a while. Then she remembered that she had not seen a certain person since she got on the flying spirit tool, so she went outside the cabin of a certain person. This guy knocked on the door politely, which was rare for him. When a certain someone's cold voice came from inside, he walked in with a smile. As expected, a certain someone was meditating and cultivating. When he saw Hei Xinjiu come in, he frowned slightly and asked, "What's the matter?" "Yes. I miss you." Hei Xinjiu came to the side of a certain someone and said with her starry eyes. The Lord was obviously confused by Hei Xinjiu's shameless look. When he came back to his senses, Hei Xinjiu had already hugged his arm and said with a whimper, "Prince Charming, tell me, am I very useless? Every time I say I have to work hard, but every time I get you injured." A certain lord was about to break away from Hei Xinjiu's embrace, but when he saw that Hei Xinjiu's eyes were slightly red and full of tears, his heart suddenly tightened and he said with a stiff face, "You are very good." "Liar. How am I good? Even if I was struck by lightning this time and advanced 4 levels, I'm still only at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm. I'm not even smart. I'm simply a useless piece of trash." Hei Xinjiu initially had the intention to tease him, but as she spoke it turned out to be true. She felt wronged and guilty, and her tears fell onto the back of his hand. A certain honored warrior only felt that the drops of tears were burning his heart. The 7 emotions and 6 desires that had just been sealed were loosened once again. A certain honored warrior sighed in his heart. It seemed that there was no need to seal the seal anymore. Unless he couldn't see this little rascal, it was useless. A certain honored warrior endured the pain that surged up from his limbs and bones once again, and held Yun Chujia's head with his hand. He said word by word, "You went from an adopted daughter of a low-level continent to the female emperor of Zephyr. This shows that you are strong and hardworking. You saved the safety of the Azure Mystic Continent, the Tianyuan Continent, and the Immortal Yuan Continent. This shows that you are smart and courageous. Therefore, not only are you not a good-for-nothing, but you are also the smartest and strongest woman." Upon hearing Di Biming's words, Hei Xinjia's eyes immediately lit up like stars. She stammered, You really don't think that I'm a good-for-nothing? Moreover, I'm very powerful?" Di Biming nodded. Looking at Yun Chujia's sparkling eyes, he lowered his head and kissed her. Hei Xinjiu, who was dizzy from the kiss, had a question in her mind. Isn't the gigolo sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires? How a word not to kiss on. The two of them lingered for a long time. Di Biming then realized that there was nothing strange in his body. The pain that had entered his bone marrow had disappeared. Hei Xinjiu saw this and immediately attributed this matter to Di Biming kissing her. That was why the cold poison in his body had stopped. Di Biming naturally would not believe her nonsense. It was not like he had never kissed her before. The two of them discussed and concluded that it was most likely related to Di Biming being struck by lightning. Perhaps the thin jinn in his body was intimidated by the heavenly lightning, so it stopped for the time being. Hei Xinjiu clapped her hands. "If that's the case, things will be easier. The next time you have a relapse, I will strike you with lightning." A certain night. Why did he feel that the little rascal was gloating? Hei Xinjia's previous depressed mood was swept away. She happily nestled in a certain venerable's embrace and chattered non-stop. Di Biming only listened with a smile. Occasionally he would exchange a few words. It was only when Hei Xinjiu yawned because of her sleepiness that he said, "Little Jiu, when the matters of the Li Hate Palace come to an end, I'm going to leave for a period of time. You stay obediently in the southern continent. You must not take the risk to go to the northern continent. Do you hear me?" Hei Xinjia's face immediately scrunched up. "Must I leave?" Di Biming nodded. "Little Jiu, the matter is far more complicated and dangerous than you can imagine. I must take back some of my things so that I have the ability to protect you." Hei Xinjiu pursed her lips. "All right, then go and settle your matters. I will be obedient and cultivate properly. I will not cause you any trouble." Di Biming's heart softened when he saw Hei Xinjia's obedient look. He carried her to the bed and laid down beside her. Hei Xinjiu yawned again and mumbled, "Idol, I think that what Blackhead said about him having a son is most likely true. Why do you think we let him beat us to it? I've decided that if we have a daughter in the future, Well, kidnap Blackhead's son and make him our son-in-law. Well, bully him to death. A certain someone, Prince Charming, who did you say slept with Black Rooster Head? I'm afraid ordinary women won't be able to deal with that pretentious guy. Hey, Zinjia's sleepy eyes flashed with a strong light of gossip. D. Biming looked at her speechlessly. Aren't you sleepy? Why aren't you sleeping? Hey, Shinjio mumbled a few more words before falling into a deep sleep. However, it was not stable to fall asleep. She did not know what she was dreaming about. Sometimes she cried and sometimes screamed. It was not until she was held in D. Biming's arms that she finally stopped. D. Biming's eyes flashed with pity and ruthlessness. There were some things that had to be done. Although it might make the situation even more chaotic and passive, it was time to go back for the sake of his and little Jio's future. The next day, Hei Shinjio woke up from a certain honored warrior's embrace in a refreshed manner. The guy rubbed against the honored warrior's chest and mumbled, "It's better not to be sealed. Otherwise, I'm always worried that it'll make you sick from flirting with me." The honored warrior smiled bitterly in his heart. At this moment he was also being teased to the point that he wished he were dead. At this moment he was truly envious and jealous of that idiot Shui Wuji. In the other cabin, Shui Wuji sneezed hard and couldn't help but mutter, "Ah? Did that heartless woman or Rue Air miss me?" At this moment, this guy didn't know that his son had been targeted by Hei Shinjio and was labeled as a visiting son-in-law. After Yun Chujio returned to the capital, regardless of whether it was the feedback from the various countries or the progress of the matter regarding the East Phoenix Kingdom, everything went smoothly. However, when Tian Yun Chujio received two pieces of news, it caused her to frown slightly. "Your Majesty, the national advisor of the original East Phoenix Kingdom Yuanji is missing. In addition, the national advisors of the South Dragon Kingdom, West Tiger Kingdom, and North Xian Kingdom used a secret technique to attract the appearance of the divine beasts. For a time the people in the three kingdoms were in a state of panic. The kings of the three kingdoms sent letters requesting for help," Prime Minister Sima reported. Yun Chujio's frown deepened. She had always had a good impression of Yuanji. Although she had not agreed when he had chosen her to be his handmaiden, he had not made things difficult for her in the later stages. Why had he run away? As Hei Shinju thought about it, her eyes suddenly widened. She finally understood why the palace master of the Li Hen Palace looked somewhat familiar. Now that she thought about it, although his appearance was different, his temperament was exactly the same as Yuan Ji's. Could it be that Yuan Ji was the palace master of the Li Hate Palace? On one hand, Yun Chujio felt that this was unlikely, but on the other hand, her intuition told her that the palace master of the Li Hate Palace was Yuan Ji. She recalled some clues. Lan Luochen had once said that he had done many things in order to see her. Back then she had been found by the Yun clan because Yuan Ji had told the monarch of the East Phoenix Kingdom that she would save the East Phoenix Kingdom from danger. That was why the Yun clan had sent people to find her. Thinking about it this way, Yuan Ji might really be Lan Luchen's man. The reason why he had become the imperial preceptor of the East Phoenix Kingdom was most likely to be to spy on her. However, Yun Chuju still could not understand. Wasn't this overkill? Back then the East Phoenix Kingdom was only a third-grade small country. Was there a need to have the palace master of the Lihan Palace personally guard it? However, when Yun Chujio heard the news that Prime Minister Sima had mentioned later on, she understood a few times. There were so many countries of all sizes, but they had not heard of any problems with the divine halls of any country. Only the South Dragon Kingdom and the other three countries had problems. This meant that only the remnant souls of the divine beasts of these four countries still existed. The rest was most likely just a cover. Perhaps Yuan Jai's main purpose in becoming the state preceptor of the East Phoenix Kingdom was not to find her, but to plot against the remnant souls of the four divine beasts. The more Hei Shinjio thought about it, the more she felt that this was the case. Also, the last time at the Chaotian sect, Lan Luochen wanted to find the black bead. There might be some connection between them. Hei Shinjio thought about it for a while and finally decided to go to the three countries of the South Dragon Country to take care of the remnant souls of the divine beasts that turned into demons. She could use them to replenish the Cheongqi and the others. Thinking of the Cheongqi and the others, Yun Chujio recalled that the Great Void Soul Replenishing Formation needed to be set in an extremely cold place. After taking care of the remnant souls of the divine beasts of the three countries this time, She could let the pretty boy bring her to the bottomless ice abyss in the immortal Yuan continent. She needed to repair the remnant souls of Qiongqi and Tao Wu. Qiongqi boasted that as long as the souls of the ferocious beasts were solid enough, they could produce new shells. If she had Qiongqi and Tao Wu as her henchmen, wouldn't she be happy? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more excited she became. She immediately flew to the southern dragon country with Di Biming and the others on the flying spiritual device. When Emperor Nanxian saw He Xinjiu, he was as obedient as a little daughter-in-law. Now he could not be compared to before. Thinking back to the time when they were both the kings of the third-grade countries, now that the little girl had become the king of a first-grade country, what else could he do? What else could he do other than bow down to her? Yun Chujio went straight to the point and asked about the golden dragon. Didn't I scare the golden dragon out of its wits last time? Why did it come out to be a demon again? Chapter 3646. Female Emperor Fenghua is a jinx. Emperor Nanxian said with a bitter face. Your Majesty Fenghua, don't mention it. At first, everything was peaceful, but later the state preceptor Huan Shi used some unknown method to lure out the remnant soul of the golden dragon. It would appear every 3 days. And Emperor Nanxian looked troubled when he said this, as if he didn't know whether to continue. Yun Chujio smiled faintly. Just tell the truth. I'm not a stupid monarch. The corner of Emperor Nanxian's mouth twitched. He continued. Furthermore, the golden dragon said that you, your majesty, are a jinx. If we do not push you down from the throne, not only will the southern dragon kingdom suffer, but the entire sky-high continent will suffer as well. Yun Chujio pouted. Let's go and meet that lecherous dragon right now. Emperor Nanxian said nervously. Your Majesty Fenghua, I'm afraid that golden dragon is not easy to deal with. How many people should we bring? It's enough to bring the Imperial Guards to protect you. Leave the rest to me. He Xinjiu said lightly. Although Emperor Nanxian felt that He Xinjiu's words were a little arrogant, he thought that this monarch who had become a first-class country's monarch in a short period of time was naturally very capable, so he nodded in agreement. The group of people left the palace and went straight to the Divine Hall. Unexpectedly, the people of the South Dragon Kingdom who were already gathered at the entrance of the Divine Hall were all shouting angrily. Female Emperor Fenghua, you jinx, quickly abdicate. Yes, Female Emperor Fenghua, you stupid monarch, stay away from our Divine Hall. Your Majesty, Lord Dragon God has already made it very clear that this Female Emperor Fenghua is a scourge. Why are you still so respectful to her? Don't you listen to Lord Dragon God? Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Emperor Nanxian kept wiping the cold sweat on his head and hurriedly expressed his loyalty to He Xinjiu. Your Majesty Fenghua, these people are full of nonsense. I am loyal to you. Yun Chujio ignored him and glanced at the angry crowd. She laughed lightly. You are really bold. Do you have no brains or do you want to die? I am the monarch of a first-class country, and you are merely the citizens of a third-class small country. You want to go against me with just a few words of encouragement from a broken bug? Let alone a few thousand of you, I can destroy the entire southern dragon country if I want to. Since you say that I am a scourge and a jinx, then I will be a stupid monarch to grant you your wish. I will kill all of you. Men, kill them all. Leave no one alive. The citizens of the southern dragon kingdom were all dumbfounded. There was no one else who could be such a righteous and foolish ruler. It was only then that they realized that the female emperor of Fenghua whom they were targeting was no longer the monarch of the East Phoenix Kingdom. Instead, she was the monarch of a first-class kingdom. She was not someone they could afford to provoke. When they saw that the soldiers were actually planning to kill them, they were terrified. A hawk-nosed man immediately knelt on the ground. Your Majesty, please spare us. Your Majesty, please spare us. We were all instigated by the divine dragon. Those were not our true words. With the leader, many people quickly knelt down and immediately, a series of pleas for mercy sounded. He Xinjiu did not even bother to look at them. These people were just fence-sitters and had no position at all. She simply waved her hand and ordered the soldiers to disperse these people. Then she ordered people to break open the door of the Divine Hall. Emperor Nanxian secretly wiped off his cold sweat. It had to be said that this little girl was really courageous. To deal with these people who had already lost their minds, it was impossible to reason with them. Only such a thunderous stance could intimidate them. Chapter 3647. Encountering the golden dragon again. The door of the divine hall was knocked open, and a few maids and guards of the divine hall stood behind an old man, trembling. Yun Chujio sized up the old man, thinking that this should be the current imperial preceptor of the southern dragon kingdom, Huanshi. Huanshi also sized up Yun Chujio, but his gaze lingered on Di Baiming and Shui Wuji for a moment, because he could see that among these people, the two of them had the highest spiritual power. He sneered, "What? Is the female emperor of Fenghua planning to openly make an enemy of our Li-Hate palace? Aren't you afraid of incurring a disaster?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. "You're already on the brink of death. Why are you still pretending? I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Prince Charming, capture him and search his soul directly." Huanshi never thought that Yun Chujio would be so direct. He shouted, "Aren't you afraid of the divine dragon getting angry?" Yun Chujio smiled like a flower and said, "Dragon god? How can that perverted dragon be called a dragon god? I'm here to destroy its soul." Huanshi was completely dumbfounded. Initially he thought that the Palace of Hatred and the Dragon God were two safe talismans. He did not expect Yun Chujio to not fall for it. What should he do? Before he could think of anything, Di Baiming's figure had already arrived in front of him. Huanshi hurriedly accepted the challenge. Even though he had used all his strength, he was still imprisoned by Di Baiming after a few rounds. Di Baiming immediately began to search his soul. Unfortunately, before he could get any critical information, Huanshi had already bled to death from his 7 orifices. Yun Chujio was stunned. His divine sense was actually imprisoned? Why was this method so similar to the divine devil hall? Could it be just a coincidence? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, she saw a huge golden dragon appear on the altar. When the huge dragon saw that Yun Chujio was her enemy, it was especially jealous. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Last time this stinky girl borrowed the dragon to kill people and somehow attracted a bolt of lightning. It almost scared it to death. Later, it realized that the lightning was definitely just a coincidence. This time it had to take revenge. As long as it brought this stinky girl to its palace, she would not be able to escape from its palm. At that time it would be able to possess her. When the golden dragon thought of this, it said arrogantly, "Little girl, if you obediently ascend the altar, I will spare you people. Otherwise, all of you will die today." Yun Chujio giggled a few times and then said disdainfully, "Are you lying to a ghost? Don't think that I don't know. You can only pretend to be a ghost on the altar. If you have the ability, come and bite me." Golden Dragon gritted his teeth. "Stupid girl, if you don't come up, I will show my spirit every day and let everyone know that you are a disaster and a jinx." Yun Chujio spread her hands. "It's up to you. No matter what you say, everyone will think that you are a crazy dragon. Anyway, the people of the Southern Dragon Kingdom are quite poor in their spare time, so I can treat you like a monkey." The golden dragon was so angry that it almost could not maintain its phantom image. This wretched girl was really too detestable. The golden dragon gritted its teeth. Even if it lost some of its scales today, it would still possess this wretched girl. Hence, a gust of wind blew in the divine hall. When everyone opened their eyes, Di Baiming and Yun Chujio had both disappeared on the spot. Emperor Nanxian and the others were instantly numb. It's over. Where did Emperor Fenghua and her fiancé go? Could they have been taken away by the dragon god? Chapter 3648. Riding on Wu Yun to split the dragon. Shui Wuji raised his eyebrows sinisterly and said casually, "Don't worry. Little sister Ju will be back soon." Emperor Nanxian and the others were skeptical. That was a divine dragon. Although it was only a remnant soul, it was still very terrifying, okay? On the other side, Di Baiming and Yun Chujio had already arrived at a stone hall. Previously, Di Baiming was afraid that Yun Chujio would be in danger, so he had been holding her hand all this while. Hence they were brought in together. In the middle of the stone hall was a stone platform. There was a huge skeleton on it and there were many huge golden scales scattered around it. Yun Chujio swept her gaze across the stone hall and said to the smug golden dragon, "You prodigal thing. Why are there so many scales missing? I was planning to embed these scales on little Wu Yun's body to show off." Golden dragon, fuck. Those were its scales, all right. From the tone of this stinky girl, she actually treated its scales as her own. How shameless. And what the hell was Wu Yun? It must be some spirit tool of this stinky girl. She even gave it the name Wu Yun. How shameless. Golden Dragon gritted its teeth and said, "Stinky girl, cut the crap. I let you escape last time. This time it won't be so easy." Yun Chujio was about to say something, but Di Baiming had already jumped forward and fought with Golden Dragon. Di Baiming knew that he was not a match for Golden Dragon, and he also knew that He Xinjiu had many remnant souls that could deal with Golden Dragon. However, this was a rare opportunity to improve his combat experience, so he did not plan to let it go. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and immediately understood Di Baiming's intention. Therefore she sneaked to the stone platform and began to stuff dragon scales into her storage ring. At first the Golden Dragon did not notice it, but when it saw He Xinjiu's behavior from the corner of its eye, it was so angry that it almost disappeared. It had seen shameless people before, but it was the first time it had seen such a shameless person. It did not care about Di Baiming anymore. It pounced on He Xinjiu while baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. "Stupid girl, stop." He Xinjiu naturally would not wait for her body to be possessed foolishly. She jumped to the side agilely and said with a smile, "I'll piss you off. I'll piss you off. Bite me if you have the ability." If the Golden Dragon had a shell, it would definitely spit out a mouthful of blood. It was simply infuriated to death. Just as it was about to continue chasing He Xinjiu, Di Baiming had already blocked its path. It could only engage in a battle with Di Baiming again. The Golden Dragon held its breath. Just what was the background of this man? How could his strength be so terrifying at such a young age? Although its spiritual power was not even 1/10 of its peak, it was still not that weak. 15 minutes later, Di Baiming was at a disadvantage. The Golden Dragon could not help but feel proud. Unfortunately, its pride quickly froze on its face because it saw that little girl sitting on a... The Golden Dragon recalled Yun Chujia's words about embedding its scales on Wu Yun's body. It was actually Wu Yun. "Hey, you little bug. Do you know what this is? Watch my invincible little Wu Yun kill you." He Xinjiu said as she flew towards the Golden Dragon on the little Wu Yun. While the Golden Dragon was still in a daze, the little Wu Yun struck down several bolts of lightning above it. Not a single bolt of lightning wasted on the Golden Dragon. Although little Wu Yun's lightning was not very strong, it still struck the Golden Dragon until it trembled. The main thing that the remnant soul feared the most was heavenly lightning. How could it not be afraid? Chapter 3649 shall be given to Wu Ji's head. The Golden Dragon immediately gave up. It hurriedly retreated to the side of the skeleton and said in a stern voice, "Stop. We have no worries in the distant days and no grudges in the near future. Let's just forget about this matter. I'll send you up and well pretend that nothing has happened." He Xinjiu sat on the small dark cloud and flew around the stone hall a few times. She said disdainfully, "If you want to send us up now, you'll have to see whether we agree or not. I reckon that you can only send us up when we climb up the stone platform, right?" The Golden Dragon looked at He Xinjiu in disbelief. How did she know this? Yun Chujiu saw the Golden Dragon's widened eyes and knew that she was right. She could not help but twitch her lips and say, "Little bug, you've ruined the souls of many women before. It's not an exaggeration to say that you'll die 10,000 times like this. So you should commit suicide." A trace of guilt flashed through Golden Dragon's eyes. He quibbled, "That was all given to me by that idiot on his own initiative. Moreover, when he gave it to me he was already dead. Doesn't matter whether I absorb their souls or not." "Pooey. You shameless bastard. How could it be the same? They're already dead, yet they still have to suffer your humiliation. You should simply go to the 18th level of hell. Damn it, I don't want to talk to a dragon scum like you. You do kill it." He Xinjiu released Tao Wu and Qiong Qi as she spoke. After Tao Wu was released, he charged towards the Golden Dragon obediently. Qiong Qi said obsequiously, "Little fairy, long time no see. You are becoming more and more evil. Now you even dare to kill the divine dragon. I love you to death." As soon as Qiong Qi finished speaking, it felt a cold gaze on it. It then realized that there was a man in white standing on the other side of the stone hall. It immediately shrank its neck. It laughed dryly, "What a child says, what a child says. Well, little fairy, I'll go and kill that evil dragon right now to avenge you." He Xinjiu's mouth twitched. What a child's words. What a child's words. He was really pretending to be young. The golden dragon was scared silly. This wretched girl actually had the remnant souls of Tao Wu and Qiongqi? The heavens wanted to kill it. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, the golden dragon pleaded while dealing with Tao Wu and Qiongqi. Little fairy, I'll give you all these scales. Please spare me. Yun Chuju looked at it as if she was looking at an idiot. Idiot, I can take the scales away even if I kill you. Also, your skeleton and the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains are mine. Golden Dragon. Tao Wu and Qiongqi's remnant souls were not as solid as the golden dragon, so there was no way to determine who was stronger. He Xingjiu decided to release De Hua as well. When the golden dragon saw De Hua in black, it immediately felt that there was no way out. It regretted it so much. If it knew this would happen, it would not have listened to Huanshi's words. It would definitely stay quietly in the stone hall. It would definitely not provoke this little demon. Unfortunately, it was too late. The golden dragon lasted less than 15 minutes before it was eaten by De Hua and the others. Qiongqi burped and said, "Burp burp, the souls of godly beasts are delicious. But, aren't the 4 godly beasts immortal? Why didn't it turn into a dragon egg?" Before Qiongqi finished his sentence, the skeleton and scales on the stone platform were burning rapidly, and a pure white egg appeared. He Xingjiu was dumbfounded. However, with the example of the phoenix egg, this guy quickly calmed down. She curled her lips. This golden dragon is a lecherous dragon. I don't want such a spiritual beast. When we go out, give this dragon egg to Wu Jie's head. He is more suitable. How did Chapter 3650 become a contract? The corners of Di Baiming's eyes twitched when he heard Yun Chuji's words. Shui Wuji was indeed a good match for this dragon egg. He Xingjiu kept Tao Wu and Qiongqi and threw the dragon egg to Di Baiming with a look of disdain. She then happily grabbed the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. This guy was planning in his heart. The few 10,000-year-old black iron chains were made into cloud hooks by her, and the remaining ones had to be saved so that she could refine them into puppets in the future. Thinking of puppets, He Xingjia's face darkened. Puppet number 1, number 2, and number 3 self-destructed to save her last time, so she had time to make 3 new puppet plates. Di Baiming did not have a spirit beast bag, so he could only hold the dragon egg with his hands and watch He Xingjiu pull the 10,000-year-old black iron chain. Crack, crack. Di Baiming lowered his head suspiciously and saw that there was a crack on the dragon egg. He subconsciously put the dragon egg on the ground. The dragon egg soon broke into 2 halves and a cute golden dragon came out. The golden dragon ate the eggshell in 2 or 3 bites. Then it looked at Di Baiming with admiration and said softly, "Daddy." A certain dragon. Seeing that Di Baiming did not respond, the golden dragon reached out its claws to grab Di Baiming's clothes. The certain dragon frowned and kicked the golden dragon away. The miserable golden dragon fainted with a choked sound. "Ha, ha, Daddy. I'm dying of laughter. Prince Charming, it seems that this little lecherous dragon has mistaken you for its daddy." He Xingjiu laughed so hard that she could not even get up from the ground. The face of one of the dragons was very ugly. After a long while, it finally squeezed out a sentence. When it recognizes that idiot Shui Wuji as its master, it will naturally forget about this matter. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Seeing that the head of one of the dragons was about to explode with anger, He Xingjiu shrunk her neck and did not dare to add fuel to the fire. She continued to pull on her 10,000-year-old black iron chain. After the miserable golden dragon woke up, it flew to the side of the golden dragon. Just as it was about to speak again, it saw the cold eyes of the golden dragon. It was so frightened that it trembled and fell to the ground. Just as the golden dragon was slightly relieved, a timid voice came from its spiritual sense. "Father, are you angry?" The golden dragon was instantly in a bad mood. His eyes stared blankly at the trembling golden dragon on the ground. Did he establish a contract? He didn't do anything. How did he establish a contract with this thing? He Xingjiu noticed that Di Baiming's expression was a little strange and asked worriedly, "Idol, what's wrong with you?" A certain deity pointed at the golden dragon on the ground with a stiff expression and squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. "Why did I establish a contract with it?" He Xingjiu was stunned at first, then she almost passed out from laughing. This guy really couldn't imagine that the gigolo had actually contracted a little perverted dragon. Was there such a contrast in cuteness in the world? Seeing that Yun Chujio was just laughing there, Di Baiming's face turned even gloomier, and his cold eyes darted towards Hei Xinjiu. Hei Xinjiu finally stopped laughing after realizing her conscience. She touched her chin and said, "Prince Charming, maybe you were injured when you were fighting with the golden dragon, so your blood got on the dragon egg and then the contract was formed. Well, in fact, this little perverted dragon is not bad besides being lecherous. After all, it's one of the 4 great divine beasts." Hearing this, Di Baiming looked at his own hand. As expected, there was an indiscernible wound. It was probably caused during a fight and then absorbed by the dragon egg, which was why the contract was formed. Chapter 3651. Kill it. Di Baiming looked coldly at the golden dragon that was trembling on the ground. He raised his hand and a black frost fire appeared in his palm. He waved it at the golden dragon on the ground. The golden dragon was so scared that it flew out. How many lifetimes had it been unlucky? Why did Daddy want to burn it to death? Although it was a dragon that was not afraid of ordinary fire, it was the fire of ice. It could not withstand it. Hei Xinjiu was also shocked and quickly stopped him. "Prince Charming, what are you going to do?" Di Baiming said coldly, "Kill it. Then it will be reborn and given to that idiot Shui Wuji." Hearing that, although the corner of Hei Xinjiu's eyes twitched a few times, she felt that the idea was not bad. After all, no matter how she looked at it, she felt that the pretty boy and the little lecherous dragon were not on good terms. The little golden dragon was about to cry. Didn't the inheritance say that it was one of the 4 great divine beasts? Didn't it say that everyone wanted it? Why did Harry Daddy want to kill it with a look of disdain? Although the little golden dragon tried its best to dodge, it had just broken through its shell, so it was no match for Di Baiming. It was about to lose its life. Hei Xinjiu suddenly had a flash of inspiration and said, "Prince Charming, actually you don't have to kill it. You can cancel the contract with it. You can cancel the contract and then give it to Brother Wuji, won't that do? In that case, Brother Wuji won't have to wait for the time to break the shell. Otherwise, it might take a long time to break the shell, just like my phoenix egg." Di Baiming frowned. He felt that what Yun Chuju said made sense. He stopped chasing after the golden dragon and concentrated his energy, wanting to cancel the contract with the golden dragon. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Unfortunately, he didn't know what kind of contract the golden dragon and Di Baiming had established. Di Baiming tried for a long time but he couldn't cancel it. He looked at the golden dragon with even colder eyes. Hei Xinjiu released the nightmare beast and asked, "Curly hair, do you have a way to get rid of the contract with the golden dragon?" The nightmare beast gloated at the trembling golden dragon. How could a godly beast have more than one? Wasn't it still a poor little thing that no one wanted? It said flatteringly, "Little fairy, as far as I know, other than an equal contract between a godly beast and a human, there is also a life and death contract between a master and a pet. In other words, unless the divine beast recognizes its master and dies, there is no way to break the contract." Hearing that, Di Baiming raised his hand again, ready to kill the golden dragon. Meng Yanshou hurriedly continued, "Your Majesty, since this little dragon has already recognized its master, then even if you kill it, it will only recognize you as its master after it resurrects." Yun Chujio could not help but twitch her lips. Why does this little dragon look like a dog's skin plaster? Can't it get rid of it? Meng Yanshou laughed dryly and did not say a word. It felt as though its heart was bickering with a dog. That little thing is the dragon of the 4 great divine beasts, all right. If it was an ordinary person who had a contract with a dragon, they would definitely wake up laughing in their dreams, all right. The little golden dragon wanted to get close to a certain one, but it did not dare to. It could only pitifully tremble on the ground. Seeing this, Hei Xinjiu smiled and said, "Prince Charming, why don't you take it? No matter what, it's still a dragon. As for its lecherous behavior, if you really can't do it, you can turn it into a eunuch dragon. This way, it won't be able to flirt with other women." The little golden dragon, how could it bully a dragon like this? What did it do wrong that it would be given something inhumanely as soon as it was born? Chapter 3652. A rabbit doesn't eat grass near its nest. The little golden dragon saw the dark expression on the face of a certain dragon, as if it was really considering Hei Xinjia's suggestion, and it immediately felt hopeless. Could it be that it was going to become the first eunuch dragon in history? bit its two baby teeth. Fuck, if its master really wanted to do something to it, it would commit suicide. Then it would stay in the egg and not come out until its perverted master was dead before it hatched. Obviously, the golden dragon had forgotten one thing. Once it turned back into a dragon egg, it would forget everything that happened in the past. How would it remember these things? Hei Shinjio stared at a certain one with a mischievous expression. Her words just now were naturally just words. She knew that Di Biming would never do such a shameless thing. Sure enough, although the certain one's expression was gloomy, it did not make a move. Instead, it said coldly to the golden dragon that was shivering on the ground, I can keep you, but if you can't change your nature and become a womanizer, I'll follow Little Nine's instructions and directly turn you into a eunuch dragon. In addition, I'll give you a year. If you're still so weak, then you can turn back into an egg. The golden dragon was about to cry. The first one was easy to deal with. It was originally a little dragon, so why would it go and be a womanizer? But the second one is going to become stronger in a year? It's not giving it a way out. Although the golden dragon was on the verge of breaking down, it still said with a trembling voice, Yes, father. Seeing Di Biming's gloomy face, the golden dragon swallowed the word father and changed its words, Yes, master. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks. Hei Shinjio blinked her eyes and said, Prince Charming, you just accepted a new spiritual pet. Don't you need a nice name? I think the name Little Sexy Dragoni's a good name. You can remind it not to break the rules at any time. The corner of Di Biming's mouth twitched slightly, but he still nodded. Sure, I'll listen to you. The little perverted dragon that had just come out of the oven couldn't help but cry out to the sky. Oh God! What kind of sin did it commit in its previous life? How did it meet these two perverts? The little perverted dragon grumbled in its heart while secretly staring at Hei Shinjio. Seeing the little perverted dragon staring at Hei Shinjio, Di Biming immediately kicked it away. What are you looking at? The little perverted dragon. It was so wronged. It only smelled the dragon scales on the female pervert even though she was pretty. Hei Shinjio also felt the little perverted dragon's gaze and added fiercely, If you keep looking, I'll poke your eyes blind. I'll rip off your tendons, eat your dragon meat and turn you into an egg. The little perverted dragon shivered and did not dare to look at Hei Shinjio again. It glanced at the Meng Yanshou, who was gloating at Meng Yanshou's misfortune and was very unconvinced. This Meng Yanshou was also famous for being lecherous. Why didn't those two perverts despise it? Seeing the little perverted dragon looking at it, the Meng Yanshou grinned and snorted in disdain. Idiot, a rabbit doesn't eat grass near its nest. How dare you peek at the boss woman? Aren't you courting death? Hei Shinjio took out a high-grade spirit beast bag from her storage ring and handed it to a certain god. Prince Charming, use this to pretend to be a little perverted dragon. A certain god frowned. How troublesome. If it wasn't an accident this time, he wouldn't have kept any spirit pets. It would have been fine as long as he kept the little rascal. If Hei Shinjio knew what a certain god was thinking, she would probably vomit blood. Did he treat her as a spirit pet? Was there such a beautiful spiritual pet like her? Chapter 3653 should be considered a good master. Just as Di Biming was about to put the little dragon into the spirit beast bag, Hei Shinjio stopped him and said, Prince Charming, don't put it in yet. After I pull out the last black iron chain, let it take us out. Di Biming nodded. He held the dragon horn on the little dragon's head with his hands and watched Hei Shinjio pull out the last 10,000-year-old black iron chain. The little dragon's heart was broken. What happened to the master and the spiritual pet loving each other? What happened to the godly beast treatment? Why was it like a burden now? The little dragon raised its head and wanted to look at Hei Shinjio. Thinking of the threat from the two of them, it immediately looked at the roof. It was most likely the most aggrieved dragon in history. Finally, Hei Shinjio pulled out the last black iron chain. The entire stone hall began to tremble violently. Hei Shinjio knew that the stone hall was about to collapse. Little perverted dragon, hurry up and bring us out. Otherwise you'll starve to death. Hei Shinjio said fiercely. The little perverted dragon felt that it had nothing left to live for. Couldn't it be gentler with its threats? However, the little dragon did not dare to resist. When Hei Shinjio regained her sight, she was already outside. The altar had already begun to collapse. Emperor Nanxian and the others looked at Hei Shinjio in confusion. Was she destroying the golden dragon? A certain dragon had already hidden the little dragon in his wide sleeves, so no one had discovered the little dragon. Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, He Xinjiu said pretentiously, I've already killed that evil dragon. Don't worry. There won't be any more evil dragons causing trouble in the future. The little dragon in one of the sleeves could not help but tremble. From the sound of it, he had been killed by these two perverts in his previous life. Did that mean that he had acknowledged the thief as his father? However, on second thought, if he had not died in his previous life, he would not have been there. Thus, this pair of perverts should be his biological parents. At this thought, the little dragon's resentment towards a certain dragon and He Xinjiu lessened. Although they had fiercely threatened him, they had not done anything to him, so he should still be considered a decent master, right? Right? Emperor Nanxian sang praises and praised the virtues for a while. He finally let out a long breath. Without this bullshit divine hall, he was also much more relaxed. Otherwise, he would have been suppressed to death by the imperial preceptor of the Li Hen Palace. He Xinjiu did not stay in the South Dragon Kingdom for long and immediately rushed to the West Tiger Kingdom. The situation in the West Tiger Kingdom was even more serious than that of the South Shen Kingdom. As soon as Yun Chujio and the others' flying spirit tools arrived outside the capital of the West Tiger Kingdom, angry civilians clashed with the officers and soldiers who were maintaining order. Emperor Shiwen wished that he could arrest all the troublemakers. However, the law did not punish the masses. There were more than 10,000 people gathered outside the city. If the matter was blown up, his throne would be hard to guarantee. Yun Chujio was not too surprised to see the situation outside through the observation window. The imperial preceptor of the Li Hen Palace had been rooted for many years. The matter regarding the divine beasts was deeply ingrained in the hearts of the civilians. It would not be so easy to eliminate the influence in a short period of time. The West Tiger Kingdom was still different from the Southern Dragon Kingdom. After all, the golden dragon of the Southern Dragon Kingdom was lustful before, and it had long been the subject of complaints. The white tiger of the West Tiger Kingdom was very low-key. Except for a few calls during its birthday every year, it was usually silent. However, she didn't know how the imperial preceptor of the West Tiger Kingdom persuaded the white tiger to come out and slander her. When the commoners saw that Yun Chujio had not dismounted from the flying spirit tool, they were certain that she had been intimidated by them. Their shouts became even louder. Female Emperor of Zephyr, get out of our West Tiger Kingdom. Chapter 3654 Fighting Poison with Poison. Shui Wuji raised his eyebrows. Little sister Jiu, I'll kill a few hundred people and they'll stop. Yun Chujio smiled faintly. Although it's effective to deal with these ignorant people by force, it's inevitable that they will have a rebellious mentality. We'll give them a fighting poison with poison. Brother Wuji, just watch. Shui Wuji was wondering what Yun Chujio meant by poison to poison when he saw He Xinjiu fly out from the porthole. Yes, she flew out on little Wu Yun. The crowd immediately exploded. Everyone looked at little Wu Yun and He Xinjiu in the sky in horror. This Zephyr Empress was sitting on Wu Yun? Can't be. Perhaps it was just a flying spirit tool that looked like Wu Yun? Just as everyone was wondering, they heard a rumbling sound. Wu Yun had dropped more than 10 bolts of lightning. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was really Wu Yun? How did Wu Yun become the flying spiritual artifact of the Zephyr female emperor? Didn't Lady White Tiger say that the Zephyr female emperor was a scourge and a jinx? If that was the case, how did Wu Yun, the emissary of Tiandao, become her flying spiritual artifact? Just as everyone was bewildered, He Xinjiu's crisp voice came from the little Wu Yun. I am the emissary of the divine phoenix and I am the favored child of the Tiandao. How can I be the jinx that you all speak of? You may have heard that the Li Hen Palace has committed all kinds of crimes, including burning, killing, and plundering. Therefore, all of this must be a lie fabricated by that national advisor Wan Chen. Everyone looked at each other. Was what the female emperor of Zephyr said true or what the Grand Tutor said true? Come and read on our website Wuxiao World site. Thanks, someone in the crowd immediately questioned. These words were said by Lord White Tiger. Could it be that Lord White Tiger would lie? He Xinjiu's mouth twitched in her heart. Pooey. Why couldn't White Tiger lie? That evil dragon was also lecherous. However, this fellow sighed on the surface and said, Lord White Tiger naturally wouldn't lie. However, Lord White Tiger doesn't care about the affairs of the world, so it's inevitable that he would be deceived by a treacherous person. If you are still worried, wait for me to confront Lord White Tiger, okay? When everyone heard this, they felt that this matter was more reliable. No matter how arrogant this female emperor of Fenghua was, would she still dare to go against Lord White Tiger? Thus, everyone finally made a path for Yun Chujio and the others to enter the capital. Emperor Shiwen wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He moved closer to Yun Chujio and whispered, "Your Majesty Fenghua, I don't know what Luan Chen said to Lord White Tiger. Lord White Tiger suddenly appeared a few days ago and said those words. You must be careful." Yun Chujio nodded, her face calm because she was confident that she could take care of the White Tiger. Moreover, this guy was thinking that after the White Tiger turned into an egg, he could give it to Xue Wuji. The group soon arrived at the Divine Hall. The door of the Divine Hall was closed and 2 guards stood at the door, saying arrogantly, "The Imperial Preceptor ordered that Lord White Tiger doesn't like to be disturbed. Leave quickly or don't blame us for being rude." Just as Emperor Shiwen was about to explain, Xue Wuji had already slapped the 2 guards to death and kicked open the door of the Divine Hall. The reason why this fellow was so enthusiastic was very simple. A certain Jiao had promised him that she would give him the White Tiger. This fellow was very happy in his heart and was prepared to use the White Tiger to coax his son. The people watching from behind were obviously shocked by Xue Wuji's ruthlessness. For a moment, no one dared to say anything more and just watched Yun Chujio and the others walk into the Divine Hall. Chapter 3655. He Xinjiao confronts White Tiger. When Yun Chujio and the others entered the Divine Hall, guards immediately came up to stop them. Xue Wuji did not stand on ceremony either. He killed every single one of them. Emperor Shiwen was shivering on the side. Oh God! What was the background of this red-clothed great devil? How could he be so terrifying? The national advisor Luan Chen finally appeared. He said with a gloomy and cold expression, "Are you planning to make an enemy of Lord White Tiger? Aren't you afraid that Lord White Tiger will show his power and kill you all, leading to the destruction of the West Tiger Kingdom?" Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. She signaled with her eyes and the great killing tool Xue Wuji and the ultimate killing tool Di Baiming attacked at the same time. Luan Chen didn't expect that they would be so valiant. They didn't even need to use diplomatic language to attack. He shouted anxiously, "Lord White Tiger, help! Help!" The shadow of a majestic white tiger quickly appeared on the 9-story altar. It raised its head and let out a sky-shaking roar. Luan Chen immediately revealed a proud expression. "Still not stopping. Don't tell me you want Lord White Tiger to personally kill all of you?" His proud expression quickly turned into fear because an ice arrow had pierced into his glabella. He fell to the ground unwillingly. These people were not even afraid of the White Tiger. The White Tiger on the altar was obviously very shocked. These foolish humans actually did not listen to its orders. Just as the White Tiger was about to make a move, it saw a little girl looking at it with a smile. "White Tiger. You're the White Tiger. You say that I am a jinx and that I am a scourge? Are you blind?" White Tiger. Emperor Shiwen. The angry crowd that was waiting for the confrontation. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The phantom of the White Tiger trembled. It was obviously extremely furious. It roared in the human language, "You are a jinx and you are a scourge. Otherwise, why did you kill Luan Chen? Don't you know that he is my servant?" He Xinjiao crossed her shoulders and tiptoed. She said leisurely, "You have to pay attention to the evidence when you speak. What evidence do you have to prove that I am the jinx, the scourge? If you can believe my nonsense, I will say that you are the jinx, the scourge. As for Luan Chen, he deserved to die just because of his appearance. Is there a need for a reason?" The White Tiger obviously did not expect to meet someone who did not play by the rules. For a moment it was rendered speechless. Naturally, it did not have any reason. It was just that Luan Chen said that Yun Chujio was harboring evil intentions and wanted to destroy the West Tiger Kingdom. He wanted it to help out so that the West Tiger Kingdom would not be taken over and it would not be disadvantageous to it. The White Tiger saw that Luan Chen had been quite meticulous in serving it all these years, so it agreed. Anyway, it was not a big deal. Who would have thought that the female Emperor of Zephyr would actually come and confront it? The White Tiger was silent for a moment before it said arrogantly, "I'll do whatever I say. I don't need any reason. Either you leave the West Tiger Kingdom now, or don't blame me for being impolite." He Xinjiao looked at it with disdain. Come on, you're welcome to be impolite to me. I'd like to see what kind of ability this little white cat of yours has. Little white cat. The white tiger was so angry that it almost fainted. It suppressed its anger and said calmly, "Come up to the altar, I have something to say to you." Hei Shinjio showed an even more contemptuous expression. Do you think I'm a fool? Go up and let you take care of me? Come down and take care of me if you have the ability? Stupid cat. Although the white tiger did not know what a cat was, it was not a good thing. It gritted its teeth and started to wave its claws. Chapter 3656 Deserved to die 10,000 times. Di Biming held Yun Chujia's hand without batting an eyelid. He did not want Hei Shinjio to be the only one to be teleported in later. At this moment, Xue Wuji sneakily moved to Di Biming's side. He grabbed Di Biming's arm and said while licking his face, "Everything is urgent. Everything is urgent." Di Biming's expression instantly darkened. Just as he was about to throw this idiot away, a ray of light flashed past. When he opened his eyes again, he had already arrived in a stone hall. In the middle of the stone hall was a stone platform. There was a huge skeleton on it, and on the ground was a huge white tiger skin. The ferocious white tiger shadow was looking at them with hostility. "Wow!" Xue Wuji exclaimed in surprise. "The skin of the white tiger is really good. Little sister Jio, I think the skin of the white tiger and the nine-tailed fox is even better. You can make a cloak by then." Hearing Xue Wuji's words, Hei Shinjio was stunned. Why was the head of the black chicken also teleported in? On second thought, she knew what the guy was planning. Was he afraid that the white tiger egg would be contracted by her or the pretty boy if he was not careful? The white tiger was so angry that it cried out, "Stupid humans, how dare you have designs on me? None of you can escape today. Coincidentally, that little girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root can let me possess her and I can regain my freedom." Yun Chujio said to Di Biming and Xue Wuji casually, "I'll leave it to you." Xue Wuji immediately pounced forward with his eyes shining. He wished that he could kill the white tiger immediately so that he could become the white tiger egg. Even if Di Biming and Xue Wuji joined hands, the two of them could not fight back in less than 15 minutes. This white tiger was obviously much more powerful than the green dragon from before. Hei Shinjio released Tao Wu and Qiong Qi when she saw this and brought De Hua out as well. Tao Wu and De Hua immediately rushed towards the white tiger. Only Qiong Qi came to Hei Xinjia's side. With a fawning expression she said, "Little fairy, didn't you say that you have the opportunity to use the great void soul-nourishing formation to nourish our souls? When can you do that? I can't wait to form a shell to work together with you. Get lost. Get as far away as possible." Hei Shinjio said in a bad mood. It was better to let such a person who could not speak human language stay in the bottle. After being scolded by Hei Shinjio, Qiong Qi did not get angry. Instead he smiled even more obsequiously. "Little fairy, please scold me a little more. I feel so comfortable all over." Hei Shinjio gritted her teeth in anger. "Why aren't you going up to help? Are you looking for a beating?" Hearing this, Qiong Qi immediately joined the battle. Then he said to White Tiger, "Tiskti, I say, you are really unlucky to have met Hei Xinhuang's little fairy. Don't you know that she is the worst person in the world? I advise you to struggle. Let the three of us tear you apart and eat you." The white tiger was so angry that it was twitching. If it knew that this wretched girl had the remnant souls of Qiong Qi and Tao Wu, it would not take the initiative to provoke her. It was all that damn Wan Chen's fault. No wonder that wretched girl said that he deserved to die. Indeed, he deserved to die. He deserved to die 10,000 times. Naturally, the white tiger would not really give up on resisting. If it did not fight with all its might, it would lose its life. Unfortunately, even though it struggled with all its might, it could not escape the fate of being eaten in the end. Qiong Qi burped as he ate. He felt that the little girl who followed the black-hearted girl back then was absolutely right. If he did not follow her, how could he have the fortune to eat the remnant souls of the divine beasts? Chapter 3657. The miserable Xue Wuji. If there was anyone who was the most nervous in this stone hall, it would be Xue Wuji. This fellow had long heard Hei Shinjio describe the process of the golden dragon turning into an egg, so he stared at the skeleton and fur on the stone platform. He had already thought it through. Once the white tiger egg appeared, he would rush up and put it into the spirit beast bag to prevent any accidents from happening again. As he expected, the skeleton and fur on the stone platform were burning, and a white tiger egg appeared in the end. Xue Wuji jumped to the front of the white tiger egg and tried to put the egg into the spiritual beast pouch. To his surprise, he did not succeed. Xue Wuji was confused. Why didn't it work? He Xinju was confused too. Therefore she released Meng Yanshou. Meng Yanshou grinned and said, "The 4 godly beasts are different from other spiritual beasts. They can only be kept in the spiritual beast pouch after the contract is signed." Hearing that, Xue Wuji immediately bit his finger and made a cut. He dripped the blood on the white tiger egg and then nothing happened. The white tiger egg did not respond at all. Xue Wuji tried more than 100 times and he almost passed out due to excessive blood loss. However, he failed to sign the contract with the white tiger egg. Xue Wuji immediately felt terrible. Was he being despised? Why was the little perverted dragon with a paralyzed face crying and begging for a contract when he had almost bled out? He Xinju looked at Xue Wuji, who had nothing to live for. She said dryly, "Brother Wuji, maybe the spiritual sense of the white tiger egg is too weak right now, so there's no way to form a contract with it. I'll try again in a few days. It doesn't matter if I can't put it into the spiritual beast bag. Why don't you just put a bag on your back?" Hearing He Xinji's words, Xue Wuji felt a little comforted. He took out a piece of cloth from his storage ring, wrapped the white tiger egg tightly and carried it on his back. After comforting Xue Wuji, He Xinjiu began to pull out the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. They were good stuff and could not be wasted. The guy finally put the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains into his storage ring. Then he suddenly thought of a question. If the spiritual sense of the white tiger egg was still weak, how would they get out? Would they be crushed to death inside? The stone hall was shaking more and more violently. Xue Wuji held the white tiger egg in his hand. He said in a flattering manner, "Little white tiger, cute little white tiger, mighty little white tiger, let us out quickly or we will be buried here." Unfortunately, the white tiger egg did not respond at all, as if it was a dead egg. Fuck. He Xinjiu took out a large kitchen knife and waved it over the egg. "If you play dead again, do you believe that I will turn you into egg soup and eat you?" It was not known whether He Xinji's threat had worked or not, but when the lights flashed and everyone regained their sight, they were already outside. Xue Wuji was afraid that the news of the white tiger egg would be exposed. Just as he was about to wrap the white tiger egg with the wrapper, he realized that the white tiger egg in his hand had disappeared without a trace. Xue Wuji was stunned at first, then he was filled with sorrow. Little Sister Jiu could contract a divine beast or something for no reason, so why was it so difficult for him? Not only was there a huge basin of blood, but the damn white tiger egg was still missing? Where did it go? However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he could not say much. He only looked at He Xinjiu with resentment. He Xinjiu also noticed that the white tiger egg in Xue Wuji's hand was missing. He was also very puzzled. Could it be that the white tiger egg ran away in a panic? Chapter 3658. Where's the white tiger egg? He Xinjiu looked around suspiciously, only to find a flash of white light in the collapsing altar not far away. She squinted her eyes. Was this little thing trying to take advantage of the chaos to escape? Dream on. He Xinjiu dashed over with a whoosh and hugged the white tiger egg in her arms. She was afraid that the white tiger egg would escape again, so she subconsciously put the white tiger egg into the spirit beast bag. This guy also put the white tiger egg in, but he only realized it after a while. Didn't they say that only when it recognized its owner could it be put in? How did she put it in? Although He Xinji's actions were very fast, Xue Wuji still saw the whole process. He immediately felt that God was full of malice. Why? He bled for half a basin of blood, but he still didn't succeed. Why did little Sister Jiu succeed so easily? Moreover, she had not even dripped blood to establish the contract. Xue Wuji wished that he could get to the bottom of it right away. However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, he had no choice but to hold it in. He Xinjiu originally wanted to take out the white tiger egg and hand it over to Xue Wuji. However, when she saw Emperor Xiwen and the others, she decided to wait until they had left the capital of the West Tiger Kingdom. Therefore, the fellow said to Emperor Xiwen, White Tiger felt that it had been deceived by Luan Chen. It felt very guilty and uneasy. Therefore it decided to hibernate in the underground palace and will not appear for the time being. Send someone to guard this place. No one is allowed to disturb the peace of White Tiger. Emperor Shiwen did not see He Xinjia's movements clearly just now. He only saw a flash of white light. Although he was a little suspicious, he did not dare to ask further and nodded respectfully in agreement. As for the onlookers outside the divine hall, they saw that Luan Qin was already dead and the altar had collapsed. They immediately lost their backbone and were afraid that He Xinjia would settle the score in the future. One by one they scattered like birds and beasts. Naturally, He Xinjia did not take these people to heart. She led them out of the capital city of the West Tiger Kingdom and flew directly to the capital city of the North Mystic Kingdom on a flying spiritual device. As soon as they got on the flying spiritual device, Xue Wuji could not wait to approach He Xinjia and say, "Little sister Jiu, quick, take out the white tiger egg. It can't be that it recognizes you as its master, right?" He Xinjia was also very curious. She immediately tried to take out the white tiger egg with her spiritual sense, but there was nothing. The guy was dazed for a moment and quickly scanned his spiritual beast bag with his spiritual sense. He almost fainted from anger when he saw it. There were no more white tiger eggs in the spiritual beast bag. Xiao Hanyo and the others were fighting over a few broken eggshells. Meng Yanshou was shamelessly holding an eggshell and licking the remaining egg liquid on it. He Xinjiu immediately roared with her spiritual sense, "All of you stop right now. Let me ask you, where is the little white tiger?" Upon hearing He Xinjia's words, the dumb cubs immediately drooped their heads and kept silent. He Xinjiu was so angry that she directly called out, "Curly hair, tell me. Where did the little white tiger go?" The nightmare beast acted as if it was trying to steal a bell by covering its ears. It carried the eggshell in its hand behind its back. The red rabbit blinked its eyes and stammered, No, I don't know. Meng Yanshou." He Xinjia was so angry that she directly took the nightmare beast out of the spiritual beast bag and kicked it hard. "If you don't tell me the truth, I'll turn you into a eunuch rabbit today." Meng Yanshou. The nightmare beast could not help but shudder. It said with a hint of guilt and flattery, "Little fairy, it's not my fault. Everyone has a share, especially that kitten. It eats the most." He Xinjia had a bad premonition just now. Hearing Meng Yanshou's words, she felt her head buzz. You mean to say that the white tiger egg was eaten by you?" Meng Yanshou took a few steps back and said embarrassedly, "Yes, it was. But it was not all eaten. There were still a few eggshells left." Chapter 3659 was the main culprit. He Xinjia was so angry that she was about to kill the nightmare beast with her kitchen knife. Meng Yanshou cried and begged for mercy. "Little fairy, you can't be so biased. I'm not the only one who ate the white tiger egg. Those guys all had a share. And the first bite was eaten by that cat cub. It's the main culprit and we're all accomplices." He Xinjia tried hard to suppress the anger in her heart and gritted her teeth. "Let's put aside the matter of who ate the egg first. Let me ask you, didn't you say that the white tiger's egg can only be stored in the spirit beast bag after it recognizes its master? How did I put it in?" Meng Yanshou looked innocent and at a loss. "Little fairy, I don't know either. Normally, the eggs of the 4 great divine beasts can only be stored after it recognizes its master. Maybe it's because you're as beautiful as a flower and can topple countries and cities." Seeing that Meng Yanshou didn't look like he was lying, He Xinjia could only glare at him and ask, "Didn't you say that the godly beasts won't really die out? Now that the white tiger egg has been eaten by you, shouldn't a new white tiger egg be born?" Meng Yanshou nodded vigorously. Yes, that's right. There will definitely be a new white tiger egg born." He Xinjia could not help but feel relieved. As long as a new white tiger egg was born, it would be fine. If the white tiger egg was eaten by them, so be it. Di Baiming frowned. He asked, "Previously the white tiger burned its skeleton and fur to give birth to a new white tiger egg. Now that the white tiger egg has been eaten by you and it has no skeleton and fur, how can it give birth to a new white tiger egg?" Meng Yanshou was immediately dumbfounded by the question. His eyes flickered and he said dryly, "As long as the remnant soul of the white tiger is still there, it can be reborn. This eggshell should also be used as a tool for rebirth, right? Yes, it should be like this." He Xinjia frowned. A few pieces of eggshell fragments were enough? Although she did not quite believe it, she still prepared a spirit beast bag and put in the eggshell fragments that she had snatched from Xiao Hanyo and the rest to prevent them from eating them again. The nightmare beast was afraid that He Xinjiu would seek revenge on it again, so it quickly diverted He Xinjia's anger. Little fairy, heaven and earth have a conscience. When you put the white tiger egg into the spirit beast pouch, even though we were a little greedy, we didn't have the guts to eat it. Just like that phoenix egg. It had been there for so long, but we didn't move, did we? It was mainly the kittens that came forward and broke the white tiger egg with their claws. With them taking the lead, we ate a little bit of it. Therefore, the kittens were the main culprit. Upon hearing the words of the Meng Yanshou, He Xinjiu first transferred the phoenix egg to a separate spirit beast bag and then took out the kittens. Well done, kittens. You haven't grown much, but you're getting bolder and bolder. Tell me, who gave you the guts to eat the white tiger's egg? Kitten's eyes flickered and drifted. It didn't even dare to look at He Xinjiu. It stammered, I was muddle-headed. I won't do it again. He Xinjiu frowned. Kitten had always been reckless. How could it admit that it was wrong this time? Kitten saw that He Xinjiu didn't speak and its body trembled slightly. It unconsciously took a few steps back. Meng Yanshou, who was watching from the side, covered its mouth and gloated. This damned kitten, it was the one who ate the most, it deserved to be scolded. It would be better if the little girl from He Xinjiu gave it a beating. Chapter 3660. Go get the bastard. Meng Yanshou was gloating over Meng Yanshou's misfortune when he saw the kitten glaring at him fiercely as if it wanted to eat him. Meng Yanshou was stunned. Although this kitten had the bloodline of a Pai Xiu, it never dared to explode in front of Meng Yanshou. Why did it dare to glare at Meng Yanshou today? Could it be that Meng Yanshou thought that after eating the white tiger's egg, Meng Yanshou would be able to stand up to Meng Yanshou? Meng Yanshou was about to glare back at Meng Yanshou when he saw that the cat cub had returned to its usual obedient appearance. It was as if Meng Yanshou had mistaken Meng Yanshou's fierce gaze earlier. Meng Yanshou shook the rabbit's head. Could it be that Meng Yanshou's little girl had beaten Meng Yanshou so badly that Meng Yanshou was hallucinating? He Xinjiu scolded the cat cub fiercely and took out a spirit beast bag. She grounded the cat cub and made it starve for 10 days as punishment. The kitten did not say anything but nodded obediently. He Xinjiu looked at Meng Yanshou, who was gloating, and said, You guys have been starving for 3 days too. If you do it again, humph. Meng Yanshou immediately expressed its gratitude and repentance, saying that it would definitely turn over a new leaf and become a beast cloud again. He Xinjiu could not be bothered with it and put it into the spiritual beast bag. He Xinjiu then looked at Shui Wuji with a dry smile. Brother Wuji, you heard it too. The white tiger egg might still be reborn, so we can only wait. If you think that waiting is too long, aren't we going to the North Xian Kingdom? I'll just give that bastard to you. Shui Wuji, bastard? Why did it sound so awkward? Could it not be said that it was a black tortoise egg? Shui Wuji naturally wanted the little white tiger in his heart because no matter who he chose, he would definitely choose the majestic little white tiger over a little bastard. However, there was no other choice now. The white tiger egg only had a few pieces of eggshell left. Who knew how long it would take before it could be reborn into a white tiger? If it was a bastard, then it was a bastard. Therefore Shui Wuji sighed and said, Maybe the white tiger and I are not fated. The black turtle egg will be the black turtle egg. Although the name is not nice, it is still a godly beast no matter what. He Xinjiu felt that she had let Shui Wuji down. She quickly agreed, yes. In fact, the bastard is quite good. That thing can at least resist hunger. Also, it is a 1,000-year-old tortoise. How good is the meaning of this thing? The corner of Shui Wuji's mouth twitched as he consoled himself. This was a gift from little sister Jiu. It was a token of her goodwill. People had to learn to be content. Thus he said with a smile, Little sister Jiu, you're right. Bastard is also quite good. Let's speed up and quickly go get that bastard. He Xinjiu added a few more sentences and then talked about other matters. This matter had temporarily come to an end. He Xinjiu thought of the giant winged birds that she had seen when she swept her gaze across the spirit beast pouch. She calculated in her heart that once the matter with the North Xian Kingdom was settled, if there was no movement from the Li Hen Palace, she would go to the boundless ice abyss on the immortal Yuan continent to restore the souls of Cheongqi and Tao Wu. On the way, she would help these giant winged birds find a new nesting spot. Hei Xingjiu thought to herself, with this calculation she still had many things to do. He had to hurry up. The journey was very smooth. 2 days later, the flying spiritual device arrived at the capital of Beixian Kingdom. Outside the capital of Beixian Kingdom, there were still angry people shouting at the Empress Jiu to get out of Beixian Kingdom. Hei Xingjiu did the same thing and sat on the little Wu Yun. She easily appeased the onlookers and then went to the divine hall of Beixian Kingdom with Emperor Beijing. Chapter 3661 Turtle Shell. Hei Xingjia's current mood could be described as nonchalant, because she felt that there was basically no challenge left. It was just a formality to get the black tortoise egg. What she thought was that everyone was blocked out of the temple. The entire temple was covered by a huge turtle shell. Beixian Kingdom State Preceptor Fan Ji once again incited the people of Beixian Kingdom. Lord Black Tortoise orders you to take down the female emperor of Fenghua immediately, or else the calamity will fall on Beixian Kingdom. The people saw the huge turtle shell and naturally believed Fan Ji's words even more. They started to clash with the soldiers who were blocking them, and the scene was very chaotic for a moment. Emperor Beijing looked at Empress Jiu with a worried expression. Your Majesty Feng, look, what should we do? We have never seen this turtle shell before. How could such a huge turtle shell suddenly appear out of nowhere? Hei Xingjia's eyes lit up when she saw the big turtle shell. The little bastard's turtle shell had already cracked, so she could use this big bastard's turtle shell to replace it. It looked very sturdy. Hei Xingjiu rolled her eyes and shouted into the turtle shell, Master Black Tortoise, if you don't let us in, don't blame me for being rude. I'm going to destroy your big bastard's turtle shell. Fan Ji's arrogant voice came from inside. Female Emperor of Zephyr, I advise you to either surrender or leave as soon as possible. Don't even think about opening this turtle shell. This is Black Tortoise's shell, you can't open it. Hei Xingjiu pursed her lips and slashed at the turtle shell with the kitchen knife. There was no reaction from the first cut. There was still no reaction at the second strike. At the third strike, a tiny crack finally appeared on the turtle shell. Hei Xingjiu was delighted. She burned the small flame and slashed with the large kitchen knife. Finally, a big crack appeared on the large turtle shell. This fellow was feeling proud. No matter how hard your big bastard's shell was, how could it be as hard as the 10,000-year-old black iron chain? A crack would appear sooner or later. Fan Ji, who was in the courtyard, found that there was a crack in the turtle shell. His face was ashen. How was this possible? This was the turtle shell of the black tortoise. Just as he was thinking, the turtle shell suddenly shrank and turned into a small piece of turtle shell, falling to the ground. Before he could pick up the turtle shell fragment, Hei Xingjiu and the others rushed in. Hei Xingjiu looked at the small turtle shell fragment on the ground and was suddenly enlightened. No wonder it could not be stopped. It was just a small piece. Fan Ji was about to pick up the turtle shell fragment when a red shadow rushed over. Without any explanation, it was a spiritual attack. Hei Xingjiu saw that Xue Wuji had entangled Fan Ji, so she held the small turtle shell in her hand and examined it. She didn't see anything special about it. It was probably just a part of the black tortoise shell. When Hei Xingjiu was studying the turtle shell in her hand, a light flashed and Hei Xingjiu disappeared on the spot. Di Baiming gritted his teeth in frustration. He never thought that the turtle shell had the ability to teleport. If he had known earlier, he would have held little Jiu's hand. Di Baiming looked at Fan Ji coldly and joined the battle. In less than 15 minutes, Fan Ji's spiritual power was restrained by Di Baiming. Under interrogation, Fan Ji told him what he knew. It turned out that the turtle shell fragment was lent to Fan Ji by the black tortoise to protect the divine hull. As for the turtle shell's ability to teleport, he didn't know. Chapter 3662 Sinking Fish Pulp. Xue Wuji asked fiercely, even if you don't know the transfer function of the turtle shell, you should be able to get in contact with the black tortoise, right? Tell it to release little sister Jiu quickly or else it'll kill you. Usually the black tortoise only contacts me when it has orders. I have no way to contact it. Xue Wuji naturally did not believe what he said and directly asked Di Baiming to search his soul. Unfortunately, Di Baiming's soul search did not yield any results. and Fanji soon bled to death from all 7 orifices. Shuewuji held his breath and kicked Fanji a few times. He was not concerned about the black tortoise egg, but was afraid that Yun Chujio would be in danger again. This black tortoise was obviously more cunning than the golden dragon and white tiger. He wondered where little sister Jio had been taken to. He could only comfort himself. Little sister Jio had a way of dealing with remnant souls. This time there should be no problem. D. Biming's expression was also very gloomy. He felt a little flustered for some reason. He had a feeling that something would happen. However, there was nothing he could do now. The altar was only one end of the teleportation array. No one knew the location of the stone hall. He could only wait. Hei Shinjio, who was missed by D. Biming and Shuewuji, was trapped in a pond. A giant phantom of a turtle was floating above the pond. It was watching Hei Shinjio flapping in the water with a smug look on its face. Little girl, don't waste your energy. The pond is filled with fish pulp. Even aquatic demon beasts will sink to the bottom, not to mention you. Once you die, I can successfully possess you. At that time I can regain my freedom. Hei Shinjio did not take it seriously when she found out that she had fallen into the pool. After all, she had a water-repellent bead on her. How could a broken pool drown her? However, she realized that the big bastard was right. Even if she had a water-repellent bead and even if she could swim, she would still inevitably sink, as if there was a huge force pulling her down. If her spiritual power was not confined, she could quickly pile stones and other things into the pool. That way she could have a foothold and at least not drown. Unfortunately, now that her spiritual power was confined, even if the kitchen knife was at her waist, it was useless. If she did not think of a way quickly, she would drown. Hei Shinjio could not help but smile bitterly in her heart. Even in her dreams, she did not expect that she would drown in the end. It had to be said that this black tortoise was much more cunning than the other 3. It knew how to use a small piece of turtle shell as bait and then lure her in. At this moment, the sinking fish paste in the pool was almost at Hei Xinjia's neck, and she was still sinking. Black Tortoise saw Hei Shinjio struggling helplessly in the water and was very excited. After being trapped for so many years, it finally had a chance to leave this place. No matter what, it would not let go of such a good opportunity. This pond filled with fish sinking pulp was originally set up to trap it. It did not expect that it would be of great help to it now. Just as Black Tortoise was feeling pleased with himself, he saw the little girl in the pond open her mouth and lower her head to drink the fish sinking pulp in the pond. Black Tortoise was stunned at first, then he laughed until he trembled. Little girl, don't tell me you still want to drink all the fish sinking pulp in this pond? Not to mention that the fish sinking pulp itself is poisonous. Even if you are immune to all poisons, how can your small body hold so much fish sinking pulp? Back then, the Black Tortoise also took the risk of being poisoned to death, wanting to drink up all the fish sinking pulp in its stomach. Unfortunately, this pool did not look big, but it was endless. Back then it tried its best, but it was unable to drink up all the fish sinking pulp. Instead, it was poisoned to death. Chapter 3663. Rehydration. Naturally, Hei Shinjio did not have the time to deal with the Black Tortoise. She had no other way to save herself other than to drink up the fish sinking pulp. Anyway, she had done this kind of thing under the pressure of Guaichao, so it should work, right? Although the fish sinking pulp was also poisonous, Guaichao obviously did not like the fish sinking pulp very much. Under Hei Xinjia's threat, she could only cooperate with Hei Shinjio to rehydrate. Black Tortoise originally thought that the little girl in the pool would sink to the bottom very soon. Who would have thought that after 15 minutes the little girl was still drinking water, and the water level in the pool had obviously started to drop. This was really a ghost. Although Black Tortoise was very surprised, but thinking back, it had not been able to drink all the water in the pool back then, so this little girl definitely could not do it. Taking a step back, even if she could really drink all the water in the pool, her spiritual power was already restrained by it, and she still could not escape from its palm. Therefore, the Black Tortoise calmed down and floated in the air, leisurely watching Hei Shinjio drinking the water desperately. Hei Shinjio drank for a whole day and night and finally drank all the water in the pool. Besides Hei Shinjio, there was also a huge turtle skeleton and a huge turtle shell in the pond. Moreover, the turtle shell and the skeleton were fixed at the bottom of the pond by 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. Hei Shinjio looked around again. There were stone walls all around her, and there were also stone walls above her head. It was similar to the stone halls of the Golden Dragon and the others. Seeing that Hei Shinjio had really finished all the water, Black Tortoise felt a little apprehensive and asked tentatively, "Little girl, where did you take the sinking fish pulp?" Hei Shinjio replied indifferently, "You've confined my spiritual power, so where can I put the sinking fish paste? I naturally drank it all." Black Tortoise snorted coldly, "With your small body? How could you put so much sinking fish paste? If you tell me the truth, I'll let you live. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Hei Shinjio pursed her lips in her heart. Did he think she was an idiot? Even if she used her heel to think, she knew that this guy was trying to possess her. It was impossible for him to let her go. However, now that her spiritual power was confined, she could not release De Hua and Cheongqi. The only thing she could rely on was the large kitchen knife at her waist. Therefore, she had to hit it with one strike and not be anxious. When Hei Shinjio thought of this, her eyes revealed great surprise. "Is what you said true? Will you really let me go?" Black Tortoise despised her in its heart. What a stupid human. It was still waiting to possess her. How could it let her go? However, it was not bad to coax her to tell the truth first so that it would not know nothing after the possession. Therefore Black Tortoise nodded and said gently, "That's right. As long as you answer my question truthfully, I will let you go." Hei Shinjio immediately beamed and nodded repeatedly, all right. What do you want to know? I'll tell you everything." "You tell me first. Where did you take the sinking fish paste?" Black Tortoise asked curiously. Hei Shinjio blushed and said embarrassedly, "I drank it. You may not know this, but I've always had a big appetite and I eat everything. When I'm really hungry, I even eat dirt." Black Tortoise stared at Hei Shinjio suspiciously. Did she really drink it into her stomach? How was this possible? However, she didn't look like she was lying at all. Moreover, this little girl was easy to deceive, so she shouldn't be lying to it. Chapter 3664. You bad bastard. Black Tortoise stared at Hei Shinjio for a while and finally believed her words. He continued to ask, "Do you have any other secrets? You have to tell me everything or I won't let you go." Fear appeared on Hei Shinjio's face. She trembled slightly and said, "I don't have any big secrets. I'm just not afraid of poison. No poison can kill me." Hearing that, Black Tortoise nodded. He believed her. Otherwise, she would have been poisoned to death after drinking so much heavy fish milk. Black Tortoise asked a few more questions and Hei Shinjio answered them truthfully, obediently. Seeing that the questions were almost over, Black Tortoise finally revealed his viciousness and said ruthlessly, "Little girl, you are too naive. It was not easy for me to get you in here. Why would I let you go? However, don't worry. I will leave you with a whole corpse. After all, your shell is still useful." Hei Shinjio immediately shivered and said with a red face, How can you lie to me? You are a bad person. No, you are a bad bastard." Black Tortoise's biggest taboo was that others would call it a bastard. How could it, a magnificent black tortoise, be compared to a lowly demonic beast like a bastard? Black Tortoise pounced on Hei Shinjio in anger, wanting to seize her body after slapping her to death. Hei Shinjio seemed to be scared silly. She did not dodge but just stared blankly at the black tortoise that was approaching her. Black Tortoise could not help but curl his lips. This little girl was really timid. It was a waste for such a trash to live. It was just right for her to die. Just as Black Tortoise's claws were about to hit Hei Shinjio used all her strength and suddenly jumped. The large kitchen knife in her hand slashed towards Black Tortoise's remnant soul. The black tortoise let out a blood-curdling scream, and the remnant soul's color dimmed a little. It hurriedly floated backwards and looked at the large kitchen knife in Hei Shinjio's hand in disbelief. This is the Heaven Punisher divine axe. How did it become like this? Only then did the black tortoise realize that there were traces of damage on the small piece of turtle shell. It must have been cut by this wretched girl with the Heaven Punisher divine axe. It did see something on Hei Shinjio's waist, but it did not expect that this broken kitchen knife was actually the Heaven Punisher axe. Hei Shinjio saw that although the black tortoise was slightly injured, it was not seriously injured. She could not help but feel her heart sink. It was too difficult to succeed again if she missed the first strike. What should she do? Seeing that Hei Shinjio did not say anything, the black tortoise could not help but sneer, "Smelly girl, although I was careless and was cut by you, you don't have any spiritual power at all now." Moreover, this Heaven Punisher axe has obviously not recovered to its proper strength. Do you think you can kill me with it? I advise you to let me possess you obediently. This way you will suffer less. Hei Xingqiu did not reply. She jumped up again and slashed at Black Tortoise. At this moment, Black Tortoise felt extremely fortunate. His skills were not bad. Even without spiritual power, he was still very agile. Black Tortoise did not expect Hei Xingqiu to be able to jump so high without spiritual power. He was almost slashed by her again. The Black Tortoise could not help but become angry out of humiliation. It started to form seals and used its spiritual power to attack Hei Xingqiu. This way it could ensure that it would not be hit by Hei Xingqiu's kitchen knife. Hei Xingqiu dodged the Black Tortoise's spiritual power attack in a sorry state. She could not help but complain in her heart. Even though she was agile, without her spiritual power she would not be able to dodge even 3 moves. What should she do? Sure enough, when Hei Xingqiu dodged the 3rd move, she was slightly slower. Her left shoulder was swept by the spiritual power, and her clothes were instantly dyed red with blood. Black Tortoise could not help but sneer. This stinky girl was dead for sure. Chapter 3665. Sword Intent of Chaos. Yun Chujio grimaced in pain. Before she could check on her injuries, the Black Tortoise's spiritual power attack had arrived. Yun Chujio quickly rolled on the ground and managed to dodge the Black Tortoise's spiritual power attack. However, her back bumped into the turtle shell that was fixed by the 10,000-year-old black iron chain. Hei Xingqiu's heart skipped a beat, and she immediately crawled into the turtle shell. The Black Tortoise was stunned at first. Then it was so angry that it gritted its teeth. The turtle shell was fixed by the 10,000-year-old black iron chain, and it could not move at all. The turtle shell that it used to teleport Yun Chujio over was the turtle shell that it had peeled off in the past. Its firmness could not be compared at all. Seeing that the Black Tortoise did not move for a while, Hei Xingqiu knew that it should not be able to attack her, and she immediately knew it. Bastard, do you know what my move is called? It's called using one's own spear to attack one's own shield. Ah, I'm going to piss you off. Black Tortoise was so angry that it was shivering. It rolled its eyes and the shadow started to shrink before it crawled into the crack of the turtle shell. Hei Xingqiu was still feeling proud when she suddenly realized that the Black Tortoise had also crawled into the turtle shell. She was so scared that she jumped out immediately. The space inside the turtle shell was narrow, so it was better to dodge from the outside. The Black Tortoise's figure grew bigger again and said viciously, "Darn girl, what other tricks do you have this time? Even if you have wings today, you can forget about leaving this place." Hei Xingqiu was really at her wits' end this time. Other than the large kitchen knife in her hand, she had nothing else to rely on. Just relying on the large kitchen knife alone would not be able to block the Black Tortoise's attack. Just as she was thinking about it, a spiritual power attack shot towards her. Almost subconsciously, Hei Xingqiu used the chicken slaughtering sword technique and used the large kitchen knife to block the spiritual power attack. Hei Xingqiu felt her wrist go numb and the large kitchen knife almost fell out of her hand. However, what made her happy was that the large kitchen knife actually blocked the spiritual power attack just now. Hei Xingqiu's heart moved. Back then, after she learned the chicken slaughtering sword technique, she comprehended the sword intent of chaos. However, she didn't use it much after that. She didn't know if she could release the sword intent when there was no spiritual power. Hei Xingqiu had no other choice now. She could only try her best. She waved the large kitchen knife in her hand non-stop and started to use the chicken killing sword technique. Black Tortoise saw the little girl waving the kitchen knife randomly as if she was having a stroke. He thought to himself, did this stupid girl go crazy from fear? Forget it, who cares if she was crazy or not? I'll kill her first. Black Tortoise thought of this and another spiritual power attack shot towards Hei Xingqiu. It thought that this spiritual power attack would definitely kill Hei Xingqiu on the spot. It did not expect that when the spiritual power attack was about 3 feet away from Hei Xingqiu, it was blocked. Black Tortoise turned pale with fright. Looking closely, it saw that the little girl's body had actually formed a corporeal sword intent. As a divine beast, Black Tortoise was naturally knowledgeable. However, this was the first time it had seen such a sword intent. Since when could a random wave of sword intent be produced? Moreover, she didn't have any spiritual power at the moment. How could she produce sword intent? Perhaps it was because of the Heaven Punisher divine axe. As Black Tortoise thought of this, Its gaze became heated as it looked at the large kitchen knife. After it possessed the Heaven Punisher divine axe, who else in the world would be able to compete with it? As for the sword intent surrounding Heishinjio, the black tortoise did not take it seriously. Without the support of spiritual power, the sword intent did not have much power. Moreover, even if this sword intent could really block its attack, how long could that little girl last? She was exhausted to death. Chapter 3666. The Great Void Mirror was awakened. Black Tortoise tried to launch another spiritual attack at Yunchujio, but it was blocked by the sword intent around Yunchujio. Black Tortoise snorted and continued to attack Yunchujio. Although the spiritual attacks were blocked by the sword intent, Yunchujio's body was soaked in sweat. Her heart sank. If this continued, she would not be able to hold on for long. She was completely relying on her physical strength to support herself. Even if she put her life on the line, she could only hold on for another 15 minutes at most. Black Tortoise obviously also saw this point and shouted, "Stinky girl, although you have many tricks up your sleeve, you won't be able to escape at all." Heishinjio did not have the energy to argue with Black Tortoise at the moment. She quickly calculated in her mind, how could she solve the dilemma in front of her? There were only two ways to recover her spiritual power. One was to kill the Black Tortoise, and the other was to let the Black Tortoise take the initiative to release the spiritual power from her body. No matter which method it was, it seemed to be impossible. Was she going to die just like that? Damn it, after she died she had to be possessed by a big bastard. It was simply suffocating. The only thing she could rely on now was the kitchen knife and the Guai Chao. However, this stone hall should be deep underground, so the method of summoning spiritual beasts was basically useless. Moreover, the demonic beasts were very afraid of the Black Tortoise, so how would they dare to attack the stone hall? Heishinju thought about it and had a thought. The Guai Chao had another ability, and that was to spit out poison. Although it was similar to pulling teeth from a tiger's mouth, but now that it was in a life-and-death situation, it had no choice. "Go Weiba, give me a drop of Ruo Shui, I will use it to take care of the Black Tortoise," Heishinju said to the Guai Chao with her spiritual sense. The Guai Chao shook its leaves, indicating that it had already eaten up all of Ruo Shui. It was gone. Yun Chujio was skeptical. She felt that Guai Chao was lying. "Go Weiba, think carefully. If I were to be possessed by that big bastard, your situation would not be any better. You are not saving me, you are saving yourself," Heishinju said coldly. Guai Chao shook its leaves again, indicating that it was helpless. It had no other choice. Heishinju was furious. She was not raising a tenant but a fucking ancestor. One or two of them could do nothing but eat. Guai Chao could produce other poisonous liquid, but that would not have much effect on the Black Tortoise, let alone just a few drops. Just as Heishinju was feeling desperate, the great void mirror that had not moved for a long time trembled. When Heishinju saw that the dead thing, the great void mirror, had finally come back to life, she felt like 100 flowers had bloomed in her heart. It was too damn good a time for Xiao Jing to wake up. Heishinju decided to take back what she had just said. These three things were useful once in a while. "Mao Mao Qiu, hurry up and get Xiao Jing to get me in or I will die," Heishinju said to Mao Mao Qiu. A few seconds later, Black Tortoise watched as Heishinju disappeared in front of it. Black Tortoise, where was she? How did she disappear so suddenly? Black Tortoise went to where Yun Chujio was in disbelief and knocked open the stone slab below, but he did not find any trace of Heishinju. At this moment, there was a huge ancient mirror in front of Heishinju. There was only a gap left on it and it should be the missing piece. Heishinju only glanced at the ancient mirror before she collapsed on the ground. This time she was really lucky. If the great void mirror had not woken up at the critical moment, she would have been finished. Chapter 3667. The method to unlock the spiritual power confinement. Mao Qiuqiu moved to He Xinjia's side and tried to unlock Yun Chujia's spiritual power confinement, but she couldn't unlock it even after a long time. "Master, the spiritual power confinement on your body is the exclusive technique of the Black Tortoise. I can't unlock it," Mao Qiuqiu said dejectedly. Yun Chujia's plan was good. After Mao Qiuqiu unlocked her spiritual power confinement, she could go out and let Qiongqi and Tao Wu take care of that big bastard outside. But now she couldn't release it? Then could she only be trapped here? The Great Void Mirror had a drawback, which was where she went in from and where she would be after she came out. If she went out like this, she would be courting death. This guy was also big-hearted. He said to the ball of yarn, "Let's not bother about this. Ball of yarn, get me some food. I'm starving to death." Mao Chio trembled. The master of Heishinjio was really big-hearted. At this time he was still thinking about eating. Mao Chio immediately found some fruits and brought a rabbit over. Heishinjio simply processed the rabbit, roasted it and ate it. Mao Chio also happily gnawed on a rabbit leg. This fellow was full. As he gnawed on the fruit, he pondered on his next step. It was impossible to just wait. He had to release the spiritual power from his body. As he was thinking, he looked at the huge mirror in front of him. "Little Jingjing, long time no see. Master, I miss you so much." Heishinjio said flatteringly. This guy mocked himself in his heart. There was no other master like her who was so aggrieved. The Great Void Mirror didn't have any reaction, but there was a glimmer of light in Mao Suikia's small eyes. "Jingjing, master, I am now being bullied. The big bastard outside has restrained my spiritual power. Since you are a divine weapon, you must have a way to undo the spiritual power confinement on me, right?" Heishinjio asked hopefully. Unfortunately, no matter how many good words Heishinjio said, the Great Void Mirror still ignored her. Mao Chio said weakly, "Master, Jingjing said that you can only rely on yourself if you want to break the confinement. No one else can help you." "It's bullshit. If I can break it, why would I need to beg it? I've never heard of anyone who can break the spiritual power confinement by themselves. It's even the Black Tortoise's spiritual power confinement," Heishinjio said angrily. As soon as Heishinjio finished her words, the Great Void Mirror trembled slightly, and Heishinjio fell to the ground uncontrollably. Heishinjio was so angry. She naturally knew that this was the Great Void Mirror's doing. She wanted to flare up, but when she thought that she was now in the Great Void Mirror's territory, she could only hold back her anger. This guy cursed in his heart. Whether it was Go Wei Ba Xiao Jingjing or that glass ball, they all had to wait for me. Just because I can't cure you now doesn't mean that I can't do it in the future. Let's wait and see. 2 days passed in a row. Although Heishinjio used both soft and hard tactics against the Great Void Mirror, the answer she got from Mao Chio was still that she had no way out. She could only rely on herself to undo the confinement. Heishinjio sighed with a gloomy face. She had almost exhausted her brain cells in the past 2 days, and she could not think of any solutions. Mao Chio had tried countless times, but she had failed. Heishinjio could not think of any solutions, so she decided not to think about it anymore. She said to Mao Chio, "Take me out for a walk. I want to go out for a walk." What Heishinjio said about going out was not to go out, but to leave the main body of the Great Void Mirror and go to the Great Void Mystic Realm for a walk. Chapter 3668 Thought of a good idea. Mao Chio obediently brought Yunchujio away from the main body of the Great Void Mirror and into the Great Void Mystic Realm. Heishinjio strolled around aimlessly. The scenery in the Great Void Mystic Realm was pretty good. A gentle breeze blew gently and Heishinjio's mood was slightly better. However, very soon her mood fell into an ice cave. That was because she and Mao Chio had encountered a level 8 wind-blade long-tailed leopard. If Heishinjio had spiritual power, this little thing was not worth mentioning. However, just as Heishinjio was about to show off, she realized that she did not have spiritual power now. Strolling around in the Great Void Mystic Realm was like a walking meat bun. The first reaction of this guy was to turn around and run. Fortunately, this guy was fast enough. He risked his life and managed to pull away a small distance from the wind-blade long-tailed leopard. While running, he suddenly stopped and stared at Mao Chio fiercely, saying, "You idiot! Aren't you a Qiling? Why are you running? Go and take care of him." Mao Chio was dumbfounded. Yes, he was a Qiling, so why was he running? He had run away with his master subconsciously. At this time, the wind-blade long-tailed leopard had caught up with him. Heishinjio said sinisterly, "Kitten, you are really courting death. It's a good time to stew some leopard meat today. Mao Chio, chop it." Just when the Wind-Edge Panther was in a daze, heavenly lightning descended from the sky and struck the Wind-Edge Panther. The Wind-Edge Panther turned around and fled in fear. Heishinjio jumped and shouted, Mao Chio, chase after it and chop it today, master. I must eat the panther meat." The unlucky Wind-Edge Panther was soon killed by the heavenly lightning and fell to the ground with grievance. Heishinjio walked to the Windblade Panther and kicked it. She pouted and said, "You think I'm easy to bully because I don't have any spiritual power? When I had such low spiritual power, didn't I trick Mao Qiuqiu into using up all the power of the lightning and finally acknowledge me as its master?" Heishinju laughed dryly when she saw Mao Qiuqiu turn from black to pink in embarrassment. "Mao Qiu, I'm just saying, master. If it weren't for my little trick back then, how would we be able to live a harmonious life now? Besides, haven't you seen a lot of great things with me?" Mao Qiu ignored him arrogantly, obviously still embarrassed and angry. Heishinjio touched her chin and was about to say something nice to cheer Mao Qiu up when her heart suddenly moved and her eyes lit up. She knew how to undo the spiritual power confinement on her body. When she had transmigrated back then, her original body could not cultivate, but she could only cultivate after being struck by lightning. Her current situation was no different from her original situation. Could she undo the spiritual power confinement on her body if she was struck by lightning for a while? Thinking of this, Heishinjio waved her hands and said to Mao Qiuqiu, "Mao Qiuqiu, quick, come and strike me." Mao Qiuqiu was stunned at first, then she said somewhat arrogantly, "Humph, master, are you trying to trick me into using up all the power of lightning again? Don't even think about it this time. Jing Jing has stored a lot of power of lightning. I can do it for a few days and nights." Heishinjio was delighted when she heard this. Lightning could strike here at any time. Would she be able to enter this place if she wanted to level up in the future? Chapter 3669 recreated the classic hairstyle. The more Heishinjio thought about it, the more beautiful she became. Finally, she was about to experience extreme bliss. Mao Qiu, I didn't ask you to hack me to play with you. I wanted you to untie my spiritual power confinement. No matter how powerful that big bastard is, how can he be as powerful as the heavenly thunder? Mao Qiu was stunned at first, then she bounced a few times and said, "Master, you are really too smart. Then shall I start hacking you now?" Heishinjio nodded her head repeatedly with a smile on her face. She was in a great mood. Mao Qiu immediately started to form a seal and the heavenly lightning kept striking at Heishinjio. It did not have any effect at the beginning. After all, the heavenly lightning in the Great Void Mystic Realm could not be compared to the real heavenly lightning. Even the heavenly lightning struck by little Wu Yun was much stronger than it. Heishinjio was a little discouraged. The heavenly lightning was too weak. It was probably not useful for breaking through. It was even worse than little Wu Yun. However, it was better than nothing. Even a mosquito's leg was meat, right? After hacking for 2 hours, Heishinjio finally felt that the spiritual energy restriction was slightly loosened. She could not help but be overjoyed. Mao Qiu, try harder. There's a door. Mao Qiu was also very excited when she heard it. The Great Void Mystic Realm was filled with the rumbling thunder. After 4 hours, although the spiritual energy confinement was not completely removed, Heishinjio felt that it was only a matter of time. In another 4 hours, it should be able to be removed. This fellow pondered while being struck by lightning. Could it be that the Great Void Mirror had already thought of this method, but did not tell her? Or could it be that it really had no way? Heishinjio pondered for a while, but she couldn't come up with a conclusion. Therefore, she decided not to think about it anymore. 4 hours later, the spiritual energy confinement on Heishinjio was finally lifted. The guy said in a high-spirited voice, "Mao Qiuqiu, let's go. Let's let Jing Jing release me now. I'll go and take revenge on that bastard." However, Mao Qiuqiu didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at Heishinjio in a daze. Heishinjio frowned. Mao Qiu, are you stupid?" Mao Qiu pointed at Heishinjio and stammered, "Master, your hair and your eyebrows?" Heishinjio took out a mirror to take a look. The bald hairstyle that had not appeared for a long time had appeared again. Yes, her eyebrows had also been chopped off. This fellow suddenly felt terrible. Ever since her spiritual power had reached a certain level, even if she did not wear a handkerchief on her head, the heavenly lightning did not chop off all her hair. This time it was probably because her spiritual power had been restricted and she had been turned into a bald lady again. The moment Heishinjio thought of Prime Minister Sima and the others looking at her new hairstyle, she immediately felt that she had nothing left to live for. This fellow gritted his teeth. No matter what, he could not let them see their country-toppling beauty, the female emperor, turn into a bald lady. This fellow rummaged through his storage ring and finally found a hair growth pill that he had not used for a long time. He smeared it all over his head and eyebrows. If not for the fact that he still had many things to do, this fellow would have stayed in the great void mystic realm for a few more days no matter what. He did not want to go out with a bald lady on his head. Hei Xinjiu finished smearing the hair growth pill, drew her eyebrows and wrapped her head in a headscarf before she heaved a sigh of relief. At least she could go out and meet people in this manner. Everything was ready. Hei Xinjiu and Mao Mao Qiu hopped around to find the great void mirror. Jing Jing, let me out quickly. I want to seek revenge on that big bastard. Hei Xinjiu said with a big kitchen knife in her hand. The great void mirror naturally would not answer her. Instead, Mao Mao Qiu said weakly, Master, Jing Jing said that you can only use the old way to get out. Chapter 3670. Scourge lives for 1,000 years the old way? Hei Xinjiu suddenly recalled the only two experiences. When she was about to go out, she had to drop her blood on the flower heart of the ancient mirror lotus. Then the damn great void mirror would suck her up and not let go, wishing that it could suck her into a mummy. Fortunately, it was Guai Chao who had saved her both times. Otherwise, the damn great void mirror would have really sucked her blood dry. Hei Xinjiu gritted her teeth and looked at the huge mirror. The mirror was still surrounded by clouds and mist, so she could not see what was written on it clearly. It was deliberately mystifying. Hei Xinjiu knew that the great void mirror was a man of its word. No matter how much she said, it would be useless. Therefore she said to Guai Chao in her dantian, Go Wei Ba, when Xiao Jing sucks my blood later, you have to save me quickly, okay? Guai Chao agreed readily this time. Yizi shook her head happily, indicating that she understood. Hei Xinjiu narrowed her eyes. Guai Chao must be guilty. Could it be that it had some weak water in its hands? HMPH damn Go Wei Ba. We'll see about that. After Hei Xinjiu finished communicating with Guai Chao, she bared her teeth and made a cut on her finger, dripping her blood on the center of the ancient mirror lotus. As expected, the mirror produced a huge suction force again, as if it was going to suck Hei Xinjiu into the mirror. Hei Xinjiu quickly shouted, Go Wei Ba. Save me. A drop of cool liquid flowed out from Hei Xinjiu's finger. The grand illusionary mirror seemed to be very afraid of this liquid. Hei Xinjiu felt her finger loosen and a dazzling white light flashed in front of her eyes. I fell to my death. Hei Xinjiu fell heavily on her butt. The remnant soul of the black tortoise was shocked. It looked at the little girl on the ground suspiciously. Why was she wearing a headscarf on such a hot day? However, its eyes quickly revealed a greedy light. This little girl must have a treasure on her. And it was a treasure with a mustard seed space. This mustard seed space did not refer to a low-level mustard seed space like the spirit beast bag and storage ring. Instead, it was a high-level mustard seed space that formed its own small world. While Black Tortoise was thinking greedily, it heard the little girl say fiercely, Big bastard. You made me suffer so much before. Today I will make you into a bastard. Hei Xinjiu released Tao Wu Qiongqi and Dehua as she said that. She also rushed up with a big kitchen knife. The greed in Black Tortoise's eyes instantly turned into fear. Tao Wu Qiongqi and Tao Tai. How is this possible? How could this wretched girl have the remnant souls of 3 ferocious beasts at the same time? Didn't they say that once the remnant souls reached the outside world they would be struck by lightning? Hei Xinjiu naturally did not give Black Tortoise the chance to be stunned. She raised the large kitchen knife and slashed fiercely. While slashing she cursed, I'll kill you, you big bastard. How dare you try to kill me? Tian Dao hasn't even killed me yet and you big bastard still want to kill me? Dream on. Qiongqi chimed in, that's right. How can such a bad person like the little fairy die so easily? Haven't you heard the saying that good people don't live long, but evil people live for 1,000 years? Hei Xinjiu hacked for a while and realized that she couldn't help much, so she decided not to hack anymore. Instead she retreated to the side and cheered for Qiongqi and the others. This guy caught a glimpse of the big bastard's shell from the corner of his eye. He thought to himself that the big bastard's shell would spontaneously combust later anyway, so he might as well chop off a piece of it to avoid wasting it. Therefore this guy picked up a large kitchen knife and started to chop the big bastard's shell with a small flame and a large kitchen knife. Black Tortoise naturally saw it and was so angry that it was twitching. However, it could not protect itself now and there was no way to stop Heishinjio. Chapter 3671. The jealous Meng Yanshou Heishinjio's thoughts were pretty good, but the Black Tortoise's shell was too hard. Even though Heishinjio had a large kitchen knife and a small flame, she was so busy that her forehead was covered in sweat. It was not easy for her to chop off a small piece of turtle shell that was the size of a thumb. This was because there was some damage there to begin with. Otherwise it would not have been able to come off. Little bastard, I'll give this turtle shell to you. Although this bastard's heart ached a little, he felt very guilty for breaking the turtle shell of little bastard's mother. So he simply put this small piece of turtle shell directly into the spirit beast pouch. Little bastard was very excited when he saw the turtle shell. Although this turtle shell was very small, being able to obtain the Black Tortoise's turtle shell was still very helpful to his cultivation. Meng Yanshou saw the little bastard's excited look and could not help but feel a little sour in his heart. This black-hearted little girl was really nice to her spiritual pet. Why did she scold and beat it? Was it because it was not her spiritual pet? That was not right. Tao Wu and Qiongqi were not her spiritual pets either. She was also very friendly to them. Immerse, the black-hearted little girl, was really biased. No one knew how long it would take for this little girl to save its main body. How long would it take for this broken rabbit to drive its shell? It was really enough. The nightmare beast sighed in its heart. Actually, it was not the black-hearted little girl's fault. She had grinded the hook for such a long time. It was really too difficult to cut off the black iron chain that locked its main body. He could only wait for the right opportunity. Forget it, it was better to read the conversation book to soothe the wound in its young heart. Heishinjio did not know that a certain beast was jealous. This fellow continued to chop the turtle shell. Anyway, it was such a big piece, it was not a big deal for her to chop it. At this time the battle had also come to an end. Although the Black Tortoise was more powerful than the Golden Dragon and White Tiger, it still could not escape the fate of being eaten by others. Qiongqi thought regretfully, why are there only 4 godly beasts? If only there were a few hundred of them. In this way, even without the Great Void Soul Repairing Array, it could still produce its shell. While Qiongqi was thinking, he heard Heishinjio exclaim, ouch! It turned out that Heishinjio was chopping the shell when the shell and the skeleton suddenly burst into flames. The bastard was shocked. The bastard sighed regretfully, I've worked for so long for nothing. Fortunately, I've already chopped off a small piece for the little bastard. When Heishinjio was sighing, the ashes had already turned into a pure white bastard. Heishinjio was quite disgusted with this bastard. She picked it up and put it aside, saying to Qiongqi, look after this bastard. I'll go and pull the 10,000-year black iron chain. Qiongqi immediately said obsequiously, little fairy, don't worry, we'll look after it. Yun Chujio nodded and went to pull the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. This thing could only be found by chance. If it was found, it must not be let go. At first, Qiongqi watched Heishinjio pulling the black iron chain with great interest. After a long time, it felt that it was no longer interesting, so its gaze fell on the bastard. It glanced at the expressionless Tao Wu beside it and sneakily sniffed the bastard. It was a pity that it could not taste the meat of the 4 godly beasts. It was such a pity that it could not taste such a good opportunity before its eyes. It did not know when the little girl would help them restore their souls, but it could not wait. Chapter 3672. Just as Qiongqi was thinking about it, it heard a crack. It looked down and saw a crack on the black turtle egg and a few more cracks. Was it going to be born? Qiongqi felt a little guilty. Could it be because it sniffed it? Could sniff out the problem? This guy was afraid that Heishinjio would pursue it, so he quickly shouted, little fairy, come and take a look. This bastard has cracked. Heishinjio heard Qiongqi's shout and hurried over. He was puzzled. How did it break its shell so quickly? Logically speaking, a turtle was the slowest. There was no reason for it to be born so soon. However, what happened next made Heishinjio feel terrible. Although the bastard had cracked open, there was nothing inside. It was just an empty eggshell. Where is the little bastard inside? Where did the little bastard go? Cheongchi widened his eyes. How was this possible? How could it be an empty shell? At this moment Tao Wu reported in a muffled voice. Little fairy, that idiot had sneakily approached that bastard just now. It must be its doing. Cheongchi was so angry that he almost fainted. Tao Wu, you idiot. This is blatant slander. I was close to that bastard but I only sniffed it once. How could I not smell that little bastard? Cheongchi was afraid that Yun Chujie would not believe it, so he continued, Little fairy, you saw the bastard crack with your own eyes. Even if I really had the intention, I did not have the chance to do it. Besides, I am only a remnant soul now. At most, I will eat the remnant soul of the little bastard. How can I eat the flesh? Yun Chujie looked at Cheongchi. Although this Cheongchi usually spoke incoherently, it did not look like it was lying. Where did this damn bastard go? She blinked her eyes and tried to pick up the eggshell. She was even more convinced that Cheongchi was not lying because the weight was the same as before. This meant that the inside of the eggshell was empty. However, as the Xuanwu egg was too heavy and she hated it, she did not pay too much attention to it. Otherwise, she would have noticed it when she carried it just now. When Cheongchi heard He Xinjia's words, he immediately felt that he had been vindicated. He looked at Tao Wu proudly. Humph. Did you hear that? The little fairy will not listen to your slander and malign me. If you complain about me again in the future, I will not forgive you. Tao Wu could not be bothered with this idiot. He only stared at the broken shell with a heavy gaze. It was actually an empty egg? He Xinjiu could not help but smile bitterly. She had encountered strange things in the past few days. First, the obedient kitten had bitten through the white tiger's egg. Now the black tortoise egg was an empty egg. She did not know how to explain it to Xue Wuji after she left. She had promised to give him a divine beast cub, but now none of it had come true. There was still one more important thing. If the black tortoise egg was broken, could she still leave this stone hull? Yun Chujie was hoping that the eggshell would give birth to a new black tortoise, so she prepared another spirit beast pouch and kept the eggshell inside. This fellow pondered for a while. Waiting like this was not a solution. It was better to pull down the 10,000-year-old black iron chain first. If it really did not work, she could still enter the great void mystic realm to hide. What was there to be afraid of? Hence, this fellow pulled down the 6 10,000-year-old mysterious chains. Following that, the stone hall began to shake. Some stones had already started to fall off. Chapter 3673. The family of Wang Ba He Xinjie was desperate. She took out a piece of eggshell and said, "Let us out now. Otherwise you won't have a chance to be reborn." Unfortunately, there was no reaction. At that moment, the big rocks on the roof of the hall started to fall. If He Xinjie had not released her spiritual energy barrier, she would have been smashed into a meat patty. The guy had no choice but to tell Mao Qiu, "Ask Xiao Jingjing to take me in. When the collapse is over, ask Xiao He to dig a hole out." Then He Xinjie heard the news that shocked her. "Master, Xiao Jingjing said that you used too much power of lightning before, so she can't take you in for the time being." He Xinjie, at this moment, her heart felt like it was being cursed by a dog. She had never expected such an ending. If she had known this would happen, she would not have touched the last 10,000-year-old mysterious iron chain. Now it was obviously useless to regret or complain about the great void mirror. The most important thing was to find a way to leave this place. Just as He Xinjie was having a hard time, she heard the voice of the little black bird through her spiritual sense. "Master, Curly Hair said that the little bastard has a way to bring us out of here." The reason why the nightmare beast did not tell Yun Chujie directly was that it was not Yun Chujie's contracted beast, so it could not communicate with her through spiritual sense. The reason why Meng Yanshou did not tell Yun Chujie directly was because it was not Yun Chujie's contracted beast. At this moment, Yun Chujie could not care less about the strangeness of this sentence. If the little bastard had a way to leave, the little bastard could have just told her himself. Why did the nightmare beast have to say it through Xiao Hei's mouth? She immediately let the little bastard out. The little bastard looked confused and aggrieved. "Master, I have no choice. Curly Hair is talking nonsense." He Xinjie was also desperate. She said fiercely, "Black Tortoise is a bastard and you are a bastard too. Besides, maybe you are related to Black Tortoise. Maybe you can. Hurry up and try or we will really be buried alive." The little bastard was about to cry. How could it know how to get out? In desperation, it took out the thumb-sized turtle shell that Hei Shinjio had given it and started to make seals with its claws according to the chant it had used to use its mother's turtle shell. However, there was no response. Just as Hei Shinjio was about to put the little bastard away and leave the stone platform to hide in a corner, the thumb-sized turtle shell emitted a dazzling white light. An idea suddenly appeared in Hei Xinjia's mind. As expected, all the bastards in the world were related by blood. When Hei Shinjio regained her sight, she had already arrived at the square of the Divine Hall of the North Xian Kingdom. Di Baiming and the others were still waiting there. When they saw Hei Shinjio come out, they were all pleasantly surprised. However, when Emperor Beijing and the others saw the scarf on Hei Xinjia's head, they couldn't help but wonder what was this Empress Fenghua up to. Could it be that her head was injured? So she wrapped it with a headscarf? Di Baiming and the other two had a rough guess. Xue Wuji couldn't help but burst into laughter. Little sister Jiu, your hair. Before Xue Wuji could finish his sentence, he was glared back at by Hei Shinjio. It was as if she would end their friendship if he continued to spout nonsense. Xue Wuji had no choice but to swallow his words. Just as he was about to say something, a gust of wind blew from somewhere. The scarf on Hei Xinjia's head had loosened a little due to this ordeal. Then everyone, Emperor Beijing, Prime Minister Sima, and a few hundred guards, saw Hei Xinjia's shiny new hairstyle. Chapter 3674 Glorious Image was destroyed. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. Other than the sound of the altar collapsing, there was no other sound. Prime Minister Sima widened his eyes and looked at their Majesty's shiny bald head in disbelief. Oh God, was their Majesty quarreling with the Empress and wanting to become a monk? Xue Wuji and Enfeng wanted to laugh but did not dare to. They almost suffered internal injuries. On the other hand, when a certain someone saw Hei Xinjia's shiny hairstyle, he recalled many things in the past. He looked at Hei Shinjio with a doting and loving gaze. Hei Xinjia's mind was blank. As she looked at the headscarf that drifted away with the wind, it was as if she saw her glorious image drifting away with it. However, this fellow quickly calmed down. He took out another headscarf from his storage ring and put it on his head. He didn't explain the matter of the hair but said, Emperor Beijing, the black tortoise has decided to sleep for the time being, so it won't appear again for a while. Send someone to guard the Divine Hall and don't let anyone in. I still have things to deal with, so I'll take my leave now. Emperor Beijing finally came back to his senses. He nodded blankly and said a few more words to persuade him to stay. Hei Shinjio said a few words perfunctorily, then left the Divine Hall with Prime Minister Sima and the others, leaving the capital city of Xian Kingdom. On the way, Prime Minister Sima realized that His Majesty and that young Master D looked normal, so he put his heart back into his stomach. When they arrived outside the capital, Yun Chujio said to Prime Minister Sima, the few of us still have things to do. Bring your men and return to the capital of the East Phoenix Kingdom immediately. If the Li Hen Palace makes trouble before I return, you don't have to panic. You can just join forces with the other 8 kingdoms to resist. Prime Minister Sima was already used to His Majesty disappearing from time to time, so he nodded repeatedly and left with his men. After Yun Chujio and the other 3 boarded the flying spiritual artifact, Hei Shinjio laughed dryly. Brother Wuji, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened to the black tortoise, but it turned into an empty egg in the end. I'll give it to you when the eggshell gives birth to the little black tortoise. Xue Wuji opened his mouth and sighed. Sigh, it's most likely that I don't have the life of a divine beast or spiritual pet. Otherwise, why would there always be problems? Little sister Jio, you don't have to blame yourself. You can't force this opportunity. Hei Shinjio comforted him a few more times, then said to Di Baiming, Prince Charming, before we go to the bottomless ice abyss of the immortal Yuan continent, let's find a sea first. I'll release the shadow-skimming giant-winged bird. Di Baiming frowned slightly. There's no sea on our way to the bottomless ice abyss. In the towering sky continent, only the northern continent has the sea, so you can keep it for now. Hei Shinjio was a little discouraged when she heard this. However, time was of the essence, so it was better to first nourish the souls of Cheongqi and the others. It was not too late to find a place for these birds to nest after the matter with the Li Hen Palace came to an end. Thus, the four of them sped all the way to the valley that led to the boundless ice abyss. No wonder this place is covered in snow all year round. It turns out that it is connected to the boundless ice abyss in the immortal Yuan continent, Hei Xinjiu said as she looked at the thick snow on the distant mountain. Shui Wuji curled his lips and said, "Little sister Jiu, you don't know that this place is not only very cold, but the demonic beasts are also very fierce. When we came from the bottomless ice abyss, we suffered a lot because our spiritual power was not as strong as it is now. However, it's different this time. Big Brother can deal with those demonic beasts alone." Chapter 3675 Cat Cubs Transformation. The four of them chatted and laughed as they entered the valley. Just as Shui Wuji had said, there were many ferocious demonic beasts in the valley. However, because of Di Baiming and Shui Wuji as well as Enfeng and Hei Xinjiu, the four of them entered the tunnel without much effort. It was very cold in the tunnel and there were blue demonic insects attacking from time to time. These demonic insects could spit out blue flames. If a mortal met them, they would definitely die. Fortunately, Yun Chujiu and the rest were all cultivators, so they could use their spiritual energy to resist. After walking for 2 days, they finally passed through the long tunnel and arrived at the bottomless ice abyss. Yun Chujiu immediately set up the formation of the Great Void Soul Repairing Formation, and then placed Qiong Qi Tao Wu and a bunch of remnant souls into the formation. Although the ancient cultivator corpses in Yun Chujiu's storage ring had restrictions and could not be possessed by these remnant souls, it was still very beneficial to solidify their remnant souls. Hence, both Qiong Qi and the remnant souls of the cultivators enjoyed gathering their souls in the Great Void Soul Repairing Formation. Hei Xinjiu was nestled in Di Baiming's arms. She was murmuring about how sad she was when Di Baiming was frozen. Shui Wuji looked at the pink bubble between the two of them. He could not help but think of the unfaithful girl and his precious son. He felt very sour in his heart. And Feng's expression was also gloomy. It had been a long time since he had heard from Jin Ji. He did not know when he would see her again. In fact, he would rather Jin Ji did not ascend to the towering sky continent first. Although the southern continent would soon be taken over by Miss Jiu, the southern continent and the northern continent were not the same. There would be big trouble sooner or later. While the four of them were thinking about their own matters, the Meng Yanshou was so smug that it wanted to come out and experience the Great Void Soul Mending Formation. Hei Xinjiu did not scold at this time and let it out. How could the rabbit shell of the Meng Yanshou withstand such a severe cold? It died on the spot. The Meng Yanshou did not mind. Anyway, there were plenty of rabbit shells. The old ones would not go and the new ones would not come. Meng Yanshou went into the array as well. Although his condition was different from Qiong Qi and the others, there was no harm in replenishing it. Hei Xinjiu looked at Meng Yanshou and couldn't help but think that the cat cub's confinement time was almost up. Therefore, she took the cat cub out of the separate spiritual beast bag and prepared to put it into the big spiritual beast bag. However, she was surprised to find that the cat cub's originally fiery red fur was mixed with some snow-white colors. What was going on? "Cat cub, what's wrong with your fur?" The cat cub's eyes flashed and said with a blank expression, "Maybe it's because I have the Pixius bloodline, so there's a slight change." Yun Chujiu thought about it and agreed. This cat cub had the appearance of a fire-breathing cat before, so it was normal for it to have a change. She took a closer look at the cat cub and exclaimed, "Ah? Didn't you have a small horn on your head? Why is it gone?" The kitten touched the top of its head with its paw and said vaguely, "I don't know. Maybe it will grow back in a few days." Yun Chujiu subconsciously reached out to touch the top of the kitten's head. The kitten immediately broke free from Yun Chujiu's hand and jumped onto the ground. Yun Chujiu could not help but be stunned. Before she could say anything, the kitten jumped back into her hand and said with some grievance, "Master, I haven't eaten for half a month. I'm so hungry that I can't stand still." Chapter 3676. The silly cuties go hunting. Yun Chujiu could not help but laugh. Yes, this kitten had been hungry for half a month. It was better to feed it something first. Therefore, Yun Chujiu took out a small dried fish from her storage ring and said to the kitten, "He'll let you off this time. Next time if you get into trouble again, it won't be as simple as confinement. Eat it." When the kitten saw the small dried fish, its round eyes showed some disdain. Just when it was hesitating whether to eat it or not, it heard Yun Chujio say, "Kitten, don't you love eating dried fish the most? Eat it quickly." The kitten's body stiffened, then it opened its mouth and began to eat the small dried fish. Yun Chujio poked the kitten's small head and scolded with a smile, "You foodie. Aren't you afraid of choking when you eat so fast?" Before Yun Chujio finished her sentence, the kitten was stuck by a fish bone, and it was the kind that rolled its eyes. Hei Shinjio immediately panicked. Was the cat eating the fish stuck by the fish bone? What should she do when she encountered such a difficult problem that only appeared once in 1,000 years? A thought flashed through his mind. He simply picked up the cat's tail and shook it crazily, hoping to get the fish bone out of the kitten's throat. The cat was dizzy from the swing, but fortunately the fish bone was successfully removed. The cat's eyes revealed a fierce look, but it soon disappeared. Hei Shinjio put it into the spirit beast bag with a drooping head. After Hei Shinjio put the cat away, she said to Di Biming and the other two, "This cat hasn't been normal since it ate my rejuvenation pill. I don't know how long it will take for it to become stronger." Di Biming frowned slightly. "Little Jiu, you are too indulgent with those idiots. If you were a little more strict with them, they wouldn't be so useless." The few animals in the spirit beast bag shivered when they heard a certain lord's words. This jinx just couldn't stand to see them be good. They were always slanderous in front of Hei Xinjia's master. How could they be useless? Hei Xinjio felt that Di Biming's words made sense. Although these dumb cubs were still young, they were indeed a little weak. Therefore Hei Shinjio released the few dumb cubs from the spirit beast pouch and said to them, "There's nothing much to do these few days. You guys go out and hunt. It's a good opportunity to train your cold resistance and combat ability." The other silly cuties were fine, but Xiao Mogu could not withstand the cold. Hei Shinjio also knew that its situation was special, so she kept Xiao Mogu. Xiao Hanyo was about to act cute and lazy, but when it saw a certain cold gaze, it immediately obediently rolled away like a ball and went hunting. Yun Chujio was not worried about the safety of the silly cuties. Although they were trash in Atlas mainland, they were not a problem here. When the dumb cubs were within Hei Xinjia's line of sight, they were quite harmonious. However, once they left Hei Xinjia's line of sight, they would not stop. Xiao Hanyo looked at the dumb cubs arrogantly. "There's a first-come, first-served basis. I'm your boss, so you have to listen to me when it comes to hunting." Xiao Hei and Xiao Hong nodded repeatedly. They had long been subdued by Xiao Hanyo, so they were naturally very supportive. The little bastard stared with its round eyes and did not say anything. The cat cub's eyes revealed a trace of craftiness as it nodded its head. Xiao Hanyo saw that these silly cuties were very obedient and immediately felt that it was great. It chose a direction and brought the silly cuties to hunt. Chapter 3677. The kitten with a stomachache. When the sky was getting dark, Xiao Hanyo brought her little brothers back with great vigor. Yun Chujio looked at the loot of the silly cuties and nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that it was better to let them go. In fact, the silly cuties were much more powerful than she had imagined. Thus, in the next few days, Xiao Hanyo would bring the silly cuties out to hunt. In the beginning, they were still working together. Later, in order to slack off, Xiao Hanyo found a place to sleep in the wind and let the other dumb cubs take turns to hunt. On this day, after Xiao Hanyo sent the dumb cubs out, he lay on the ground and slept soundly. When Xiao Hanyo was sleeping soundly, he realized that there was movement. He opened his possessed eyes vigilantly. When he saw that it was the cat cub, he said angrily, "Cat cub, why are you back so soon? Where is your prey?" Xiao Hanyo said, "My stomach is not feeling well. I will rest for a while and then go hunting. I will be responsible for guarding you so you can sleep for a while." Xiao Hanyo curled its lips. It did not believe that Xiao Hanyo really had a stomachache. It must be trying to slack off. However, it thought about it. With Xiao Hanyo guarding it, it could have a good sleep. Hence, Xiao Hanyo stared at Xiao Hanyo and said, "All right, then you better watch over Xiao Hanyo. If you play any tricks, I won't let you off." Xiao Hanyo nodded obediently and lay down not far from Xiao Hanyo, helping Xiao Hanyo to be on guard. Xiao Hanyo was quite pleased in his heart. It was better to be a big shot. Hence, Xiao Hanyo closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. A moment later, Xiao Hanyo's eyes revealed a fierce look as he quietly approached Xiao Hanyo. Sharp spikes suddenly appeared on his claws as he stabbed towards Xiao Hanio's throat. Just when his claws were less than a foot away from Xiao Hanio's throat, a sharp pain came from his spiritual sense. Xiao Hanio fell to the ground and rolled around with his head in his hands. Xiao Hanio was startled by the commotion. It was shocked when it saw the situation in front of it. Xiao Hanio, what's wrong with you? Xiao Hanio roared, be careful, Bai. Xiao Hanio was confused. Xiao Hanio, be careful of Bai? What's wrong with you? Xiao Hanio's eyes flashed with a hint of viciousness. Then he said weakly, my stomach hurt again just now. It's better now. I wanted to warn you that the day is almost over and they haven't come back yet. If we go back late, Master will be angry. Xiao Hanio looked at Xiao Hanio suspiciously. However, he saw that Xiao Hanio's body was soaked in cold sweat. He said with concern, since your stomach hurts, quickly go back and ask Master to take a look at you. Xiao Hanio's eyes flickered a few times before he nodded. Alright then, be careful. I'll go back and ask Master to take a look for me. Xiao Hanio nodded. When he saw Xiao Hanio walking towards the camp, he closed his eyes again. What Xiao Hanio didn't know was that after Xiao Hanio left his sight, he made a turn and his eyes revealed a trace of treachery. Originally he wanted to eat that stupid bird to nourish himself, but he didn't expect that the idiot that he had already suppressed to actually ruin his plan. He couldn't stay by that stupid girl's side anymore, otherwise sooner or later she and those idiots would see through his plan. When the kitten thought of this, he made a circle and quickly jumped towards the direction of the exit of the 100,000 feet deep ice abyss. If Yun Chuju were to see this, she would definitely be shocked that the kitten had such an astonishing speed. He was like a dancing flame on the glacier. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.